My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state.
Alrighty, this is the same drug addict from the AGES treatment center, engaging in conspicuous surveillance, just as the third parties of the Lexus and the Asian female yesterday with the entity that's stalking by airplane. He's already on video engaging in surveillance. He's engaged in federal stalking on his communication device. And these are the demons that are actually obsessively stalking me and to be as close as possible. And they're also further more psychopathic, more psychotic, because they engage in that while they don't address you, while they're stalking you as supposedly strangers, okay? This is indeed a drug addict, and he's gang stalking me with the rest of the drug addicts as the AGES center, which is on the opposite side of this 537 North Euclid Avenue. All right, and engaging in that, molesting with impossible light, doing so with the Middle Eastern third party, already documented that, engaging in what is ongoing surveillance and doing so in furtherance of murder. This is implicating federal prison. I just want to be clear, it's currently 7:17 a.m. This is the state, this is the Ontario Police, this is the entity that's gang stalking through the city of Ontario and doing so through those that are engaging in conspicuous surveillance on behalf of the government. They will be going to federal prison in the same manner that the Ontario Police go to federal prison for kidnapping and criminal summoning. The people of the state are going to prison. This is an unlawful threat for a psychopath to stalk you and do so in this manner. Getting on an Omnitrans bus, which this demon did not do last time either, but I just want to be clear, Omnitrans is a gang stalker. Engaging in what is picking up a right, the people of the state, and anybody stopping at the curb is gang stalking. Doing so where the fake sun rises, a cloudy day does not change that documented pattern of conduct. Entities engage in what is an unlawful threat under all circumstances. And this is a vagina monitor that wants to be next to me while I'm sleeping, as I've documented the entity that is entirely obsessed, okay? And this is an entity that is listening to it being described and documented and is sitting in there as though they are oblivious. It's the same thing under the fake sun where they're gang stalking you and acting like it's not happening, they're not doing anything. This is mental illness. This is psychopathic and it's mental illness that's a threat to the public. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:18 a.m. This is gang stalking now, and it was gang stalking before when I documented him and the third party that he joined, and it was gang stalking when that third party came by himself, and this is an unlawful threat, and it is the terrorism by psychopaths who are co-conspirators of murder and who are around you, stalking you, keeping you under surveillance under the guise of this false sense of anonymity and presupposes that you are ignorant of it. And this is the entity that's doing so in the face while it's being documented. Okay, that's P.O.C. It's currently 7:18 a.m. That's P.O.C. These are the demons getting stalked with Ontario police, and the demons that are serially stalking with Ontario police, walking the dog, the big white, bulky, masculine built female that walks multiple dogs, serially stalking and furtherance of murder. Serial stalking by the entity is federal prison. This is the entity that's engaged in criminal summit. Not only is this criminal conduct is relevant to surveillance that is underway on the internet, it's also exposing what is the mentally ill conduct of an entity that is already prosecuted, and they're actually engaged in failed witchcraft tactics, and they are gang stalking with regard to light activity in relevant position, while demons, including CMAX, I'm documenting them stalking with light. This is surrounding the perimeter. Remember, this is surrounding with the perimeter. This is ongoing surveillance. CMAX is gang stalking. The entity engages in criminal summit. The entity is stalking by the airport. The entity has the fake send. This is Ontario Fire that's engaged in criminal surveillance, not firefighting. And that's why Michael GERKEN is being relieved. The entity is engaging in sounding sirens, stalking with light around me. Those are the demons, the puppets of AMR. I've already documented them. This is the P.O.C. They're gang stalking. License 9PMR 483. 9WFB 556. 09837B4, vehicle 05653. And Ontario Fire did the same thing. After they crossed my path, the siren stopped. 9JPW535, that's stalking with light conduct. This is where the fake sun rises and sets, by the way. And these are the demons. The entity, remember, they engage in criminal monitoring in the ways in which they seek to trigger. You cannot trigger me, I'm prosecuting you. You're triggering, you're implicating federal prison. These are demons that are engaging in serial stalking. The dog walker, serial stalker. The demon, the drug addict from Aegis, serial stalker. These demons engage in gang stalking on what was the 19th. Keep talking because that's the state, they're going to prison. That's the state stalking by helicopter on video, and they're engaging in that conduct under the fake sun, and they're doing it while the state is stalking right now. They're going to prison for that. In the same way that they commit assault and battery, theft of property, they're going to prison for that. And this is a gang stalker engaging in that conduct with Omnitrans, which is a gang stalker, with the airport, which is a gang stalker, with the fire department, that's a gang stalker. And these are demons that are engaged in failed witchcraft. This is the psychopathic vagina monitor. That's the P.O.C. They're monitoring vagina. They're doing so with the Ontario Fire Department, the Ontario Police Department that's stalking here, and they're engaging in serial stalking here. This is the entity that's supposed to be engaging in what is triggering you, and you're seeing how they're triggered while you document them. This is mental illness. These are demon-possessed people. This is the people take, and they're going to prison. They're going to federal prison. That's light activity. They're monitoring together. 9VSE 711. And this is an entity that is triggered when their witchcraft doesn't work against you, and they're going to prison. This is the government. This is the government that works through the welfare collecting, handicapped social security collecting, drug addicts, and demons that are gang stalking you with nowhere to live, and they're engaging with us, harassing you while you document. This is the government. You need to understand that. This is the government. This P.O.C. Ontario Fire is on the opposite side stalking. The Ontario International Airport is gang stalking, and this is the gang conduct that Ontario Police Department are sharing it. They're speaking as a state. They're stalking and engaging in activity with psychopathic pacing. Don't be distracted. These are demons. And they're not getting any sort of spiritual authority. They're going to prison. This is the P.O.C. 6XKP944, 9WLD059, 8HWF574. These are the demons that engage in stalking with impossible light. These are demons with no teeth. They're snaggletooth. They're out here gang stalking me with nowhere to live. And they're engaging in what is hostility while they're being exposed. They're irrelevant, though. They're going to prison, but they're irrelevant. What you're focusing on are these demons over here, gang stalking, under the fake sun. This is the gang violence of the government, and they're the ones that commit murder, all right? This is light activity, relevant positioning. These are the demons that are engaging in what is the pattern of conduct. Criminal summoning, that's the Ontario Fire Department, American Medical Response, and their gang stalking in the past. P.O.C. All of that profanity is audible activity while Ontario, the same gang members stalking right here, including with those same stalkers, are doing so with regard to the specific environment. And the entity is engaging everything that comes out of the mouth of the state because they're not private citizens. That's the government that's conspiring your murder and then engaging what is harassing you, terrorizing you. And you are aware of the fact that it's actually the state. They're going to prison for engaging in that. They're sitting at the bus stop, the facilitating venue, to engage in stalking in the path. And pay attention to the method because I'm documenting the serial stalker, the drug addict from Aegis, like I stated, the demons that are the large, bulky, masculine-looking woman, the white woman that walks her dogs, while the Ontario police are stalking me by helicopter under the fake sun engine in the engineer light, not coincidentally, but pursuant to the P.O.C. Serial stalkers that are engaging in that. And this is what an entity is doing with regard to wanting you to identify, oh, you were stalking me before when that horrible thing happened. Oh, you were stalking me before, when that other bad thing happened, these are the ones that are gathering together. That's a tactic regarding psychological torture. Ontario Fire, Ontario Police, Ontario International Airport, American Medical Response, the state that's engaging in everything. You're going to listen to the tape because everything that's going to prison, but the entity is going to be prosecuted and shut down. Michael GERKEN, Mike LORENZ, the Ontario Board, the Ontario Executive Team, the entity that's gang stalking, American Medical Response, which is engaged in a contract with the entity that's gang stalking, driving ambulances, and they're engaging, relying on this gang violence, and they're all demon-possessed. Michael GERKEN, demon-possessed, drug addict at the bus stop, demon-possessed, okay? They're doing so while they're monitoring. This is the government that's engaging when it's targeting you through drug addicts, through psychopaths that are engaging what is stalking you, doing so while they don't even have anything to lose. That's a federal offense in and of itself. The entity is engaging what is stalking you through a population of mentally ill people, and they surmise that this is supposed to be spiritually effective. What it is putting them in commitment. They're going to be committed, and they're going to prison. All right, that's the P.O.C. The entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct with the level of impunity that is unlawful, and it's already shown that this is a specific environment. And through this video, you see the fake sun, and then it's covered up. They're stalking together, light activity, 9EZK441. They're stalking with the Ontario Fire that's maintaining light activity, the airport that's stalking, and then you're listening to everything that comes out of the mouth of the people of the state. These are demons, and this is unfortunately the reality. Chevron is gang stalking, speaking. ARCO is gang stalking, speaking. Starbucks is gang stalking, speaking. The Viet American Publishing that you see gang stalking into the fake sun, speaking. The entities engaging in that P.O.C, the Aegis, where they're gang stalking right now, the fire department, the police department, they're all speaking as one, and they're going to be prosecuted accordingly. This is the entity that's engaging in conspiracy to murder. While they're conspiring your murder and gang stalking, everything that's coming out of their mouth is relevant to an unlawful threat. This is the ignoramuses that are gang stalking in California, and they are going to prison. It is gang violence. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging in that with regard to understand. The demon-possessed that have nothing to lose, they commit murder for free, and they engage in that criminal activity while they are speaking to. There is no normalcy with regard to the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct. This is psychopathic pacing. All right, that's the P.O.C. And this is the entity. You're going to look at the video that I captured, because this is what they were doing, gang stalking with the Ontario police who were engaged in psychopathic pacing. They share the mental illness, and they come to repeat that. So I want to make sure that I reiterate all of that and understand what the entity is doing, failing at. But this is relevant to its mental illness and its criminal purpose. Seeking to psychologically torture while you're stalking and furtherance of murder. It's not happening. The entity, Ontario police, are being disbanded. Michael LORENZ is going to prison. He's going to prison for his co-defendants in every syllable that comes out of their mouth while they're stalking on behalf of those gang members. And these are gang members in California. Okay, they're engaging in gang stalking at a bus stop. This is how pathetic the people of the state are, and they're engaging in vagina monitoring as a way of life, obsessively stalking me all day and all night long. These are the demons that are engaging in that conduct. They are high on PCP, crack, and they're coming to the bus stop and engaging in conduct that they're not thinking about. These are demons engaging in that P.O.C. That's the pattern of conduct, and this is the people of the state. These are drug addicts, and that's why they're engaging.
All right, I just want to show the overpresence. The moment that the handicapped crackheads engage in what is attacking, and then they break their cane as I grab it, and it's broken all over the street. These are the entities that are gang stalking. They're already gang stalking with the crackheads. The Ontario Police vehicle, the Ontario Police helicopter, omnitrend, you already know, is gang stalking. License 1545838. Vehicle 1119-1697636, criminal summoning. Vehicle 1134-1706937, criminal summoning. Vehicle 1067-1644204. The entities engaging in what is arriving pursuant to what they think is an opportunity after the people of the state are engaging in what is harassment. You heard everything that they're saying on the video. And then this demon is, because he's hostile and doesn't like that he's being called what he is, he's a crackhead. All right, not only that, he's a handicap, he's a coward. You're mad at a woman, you're trying to attack me, you can't even get up and walk. While, moreover, you're a demon and you're gang stalker, relying on Social Security, which you're not going to get after I'm done prosecuting the terrorists. The entity that is already gang stalking this whole scene rapidly disappears. Rapidly, and then you have the overpresence. Nobody calls the police. All right, nobody at the scene, but they are arriving, just like the demon-possessed little children, stating into, oh, you kicked me, and who magically arrives? Who immediately arrives? The gang stalkers who are the Ontario police, who are under the fake sun, stalking at the same location with those same two handicapped crackheads.
Okay, they're engaging in that pattern of conduct, and that was an iteration of the P.O.C. The entity is engaging in battery, the entity is engaging in harassment, and then they're arriving on the scene. And but for your ability to deal with the gang members, I just want to be clear, that is the entity that's threatening to engage in kidnapping. It's also relevant to what they are practicing. Their mental illness regarding what is witchcraft. This is supposed to speak to some means whereby you're being threatened. It's relevant to psychological torture. That's how you're going to prosecute this. But these are demons, and you need to understand the ways in which Satan is attacking you by seeking to intimidate and strike fear. All they're doing is talking loudly while I'm documenting. That's what they were literally doing at the bus stop. And then this handicapped fool tries to hit me with his cane that is broken all over the street. And then the entity is arriving, the entity conspicuously, because they were engaging in criminal summoning here with the drug addicts of AGES. And then they're engaging what is arriving. And they're doing so immediately when his cane is broken. The entity was already monitoring. That's exactly what the entity was looking for, seeking to trigger. But the entity is the one that commits battery. There's no arrest. There's nothing that's going on with the people of the state while they're the ones that are breaking the law. When it is the other way around, in fact, making it up, the entity is engaging in kidnapping me. I just want to be clear on that. This is pursuant to surveillance. All of those demons that arrived, Paz, and the rest of them, they are gang members together with the crackheads that engage in surveillance conspicuously at the bus stop. And this is relevant to what I documented before criminal summoning right here and after. All right, they're engaging that P.O.C. with the airport, with the fire department, with AMR, stalking in the path while they're engaged in psychopathic pacing, the ongoing P.O.C., and then they're engaging what is targeting, attacking. You're supposed to be triggered while they're cussing at you. You're supposed to be triggered while they're talking about your mother. And 9JZV810. It is currently 8:50 a.m. License plate 8JKH738, and it is, by the way, Thursday, January 22nd, 2026. And as you've been listening to, the video documentation is showing what is an ongoing continuity of the pattern of conduct, and you're also referring to the record when you're recognizing psychological torture tactics while an entity, remember the purpose of the entity's purpose is to criminally defame, and it is impossible when you have the evidence showing that the government is targeting. The government is targeting through the people of the state. The people of the state engage in what is serial stalking. Serial stalking is relevant to what is harassing you and psychologically torturing you. The entity is engaging in psychological torture tactics with regard to the people of the state who are gang stalking while the Ontario police have attacked you or kidnapped you or harassed you or defamed you. Engaging, as of late, the two drug addicts that are at the bus stop sharing a criminal summoning, that's federal prison, by the way, and also the battery that they're committing while they are engaging in what is on video before the gang members of the Ontario police who were gang stalking the entire time, monitoring, that is, engaging in surveillance the entire time, then conspicuously arrive in the path while the entity thinks that it has an opportunity. Oh, we've got an opportunity to depict Erica Spencer in a manner that is contradictory, actually not contradictory, in alignment to the ongoing defamation that they've been engaged in for years. That's why they arrive at the moment that they do. Pursuant to surveillance, that is always the case, and they will never have anything on a body cam. They will never have anything out of the mouth of the people of the state, the light-slinging demons themselves who are engaging in surveillance, and by the way, most notably, who are literally on video engaging in harassment while I am in full operation of my constitutional right to use my phone. That ongoing violent speech, all of that's coming out of their mouths while they're at the bus stop, and you're at the bus stop while I'm not touching you, while I am speaking. Also, not only that, I'm speaking the truth about what they're doing. They're engaged in that pattern of conduct as the demon-possessed that are always engaged in the pattern of conduct in a specific environment, which is not a coincidence, and it's shared throughout every city and county, and also as I'm going to adjacent county states like I documented in Nevada. 9WFB556 is engaged in criminal summoning. They're stalking in the path. They're on the video where the entity is engaged in harassment. They're putting their foot on and off the brake. They're stalking in the path with light. That's what CMAX is doing with the whole vehicle. That's what the Ontario Fire Department, AMR, and the Ontario Police, who are all engaged in criminal summoning at the Laurel and F Street intersection right behind me. Understand they're doing that. And what is the another iteration of that same conduct of stalking with light? The fake sun. Okay, the fake sun is captured. It is subdued, but it is equally a fake sun. And by the way, you already know that even if it was an entirely black sky, because the evidence of a supernatural environment is speaking to surveillance under all circumstances, where Makita and Yamas and Paz are engaging in what is already known as surveillance. And what you're going to federal prison for is the entity that is engaging in psychological torture tactics with regard to what is seeking to, this is desperation, and this is very highly criminal and malicious. They're seeking to, in that iteration of the P.O.C. that you just listened to, seek to establish some sort of basis whereby they can tarnish my name again, which is what the Ontario Police have been engaging. This is what they've been paid to do. This is relevant to the kidnapping at that same bus stop by Craig Hazelwood. This is relevant to the unlawful threatening conduct by Jay Sandoval under the fake sun. This is relevant to the battery by C. Gerber and Arnelez, I believe his name, substantially similar, of this same department. This is relevant to the stalking by helicopter for over an hour at this same bus stop where the entity is engaged in criminal summoning while they are all stalking me. That's the criminal nature of the entity that's not engaging in any execution of duties of officers. They're engaging in what is summoning themselves as an entity that is engaging in surveillance, and it's entirely criminal. It's in violation of federal law. It's malice, as the Ontario Police Department are engaging in that. 9JZV, excuse me, 9JZV 810 and 7GMJ 892. That alarm is audible in light activity. While they're pacing in and out of Starbucks, which you already know, that same agency committed kidnapping. You will never have any legitimate position in court. You will never be successful in stealing my inheritance and my money. You will never successfully try to retroactively make legitimate what the entity, the federal government, already knows were ongoing acts of criminal defamation pursuant to kidnapping while you've been engaged in criminal surveillance for years. There is nothing that they are doing, and there's nothing that any corrupt agency, the state, can do. Remember, I'm not only prosecuting this, you're speaking to the principle of the matter. This is absurd. They're engaging in this while you will never make legitimate. It's not going to retroactively make those clear lies truthful. Okay, 9NNY988, conspicuous surveillance. She's stalking in the path in her vehicle. She's doing so while I'm standing in her standing on the sidewalk, and she's crossing path going into Lavish Oak that has no walking by Lavish Oak that has no customers, where the Ontario Police engaged in criminal summoning as well, with Owens and Craig Hazelwood, nonetheless. But I just want to be clear. This entity is engaging, and you will never, under any circumstances, where you are always the government that is the criminal. This is what the entity fails to understand. So the entity is, first of all, speaking through these drug addicts at the bus stop. And this is relevant to, I want to be clear, backtrack a little bit. Aegis Treatment Center, they are a threat to the public. Now, never mind the fact that these are all demons, and this is a satanic ghetto, okay? So you're talking about they're all a threat to society, while the demon-possessed are exposed throughout the entire population in Ontario is demon-possessed. And so this is getting to the illusion where you are associating danger and threats to your safety with those that, for example, are merely impoverished, whereas the entity is targeting someone like myself, and being in a homeless state has nothing to do with what is my well-being and whether or not I'm going to threaten you or not. The entity is engaging in that maintenance of an illusion for purposes such as gang stalking, where you are maintaining an illusion about somebody based on their race. You're maintaining an ongoing illusion which you've been conditioned to think based on somebody's income bracket, based on the neighborhood that they live in, or based on the position that they hold, when the murderer themselves are wearing Ontario Police Department uniforms. And the entity that's engaged in that conduct, you're safer with me, somebody that's sleeping outside, who would be falsely judged based on the circumstance, and that is serving Satan's system, by the way. So I just want to get past those illusions, but I want to get to the principle. Aegis Treatment Center is a threat to the public. Never mind the fact that these are all demons. Okay, you're getting to the principal matter. Aegis Treatment Center has its drug addicts engaging, and by virtue of their placement, their location in the city, those drug addicts that are in relevant position to the bus stop where I am remaining because of this entity targeting me, by the way. But nonetheless, where I'm remaining, that Aegis Treatment Center is a threat to the public based on its presence in the community where drug addicts are sharing in criminal activity with that treatment center. They're engaging in criminal summoning this morning. That's Aegis Treatment Center engaging in criminal activity. The drug addicts that are going to that treatment center are engaging in what is presence and engaging in surveillance, like I'm documenting again. They are engaging in that ongoing targeting, but for the presence of the criminals who are also in a position with the corrupt government, handing out opioids, drugs to those who are addicted, and that's nothing other than the government making money off of your addiction while they're giving you one drug instead of another, okay? Calling one drug illegal, but I'll give you this drug and you won't go to prison you won't go to jail for this. The government that is gang stalking you, by the way, is serving for what is making money off of your addiction, and there's nothing noble about it at all. There's nothing legitimate. This is the same entity that's engaging in criminal surveillance and does not care about you dropping dead off of addiction. And it is a threat to the neighborhood, to the public, where Aegis Treatment Center is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, and so are all of the drug addicts that are in this area going right from that treatment center and keeping me under surveillance, gang stalking me with the same demons that are wearing Ontario Police uniforms. And I just want to speak to that. First of all, Aegis Treatment Center is going to be removed, and treatment centers like that, those that have that sort of role, and this is relevant to the bigger picture, the corruption of the U.S. government. You're also you're engaged in the conspiracy to murder American citizens, while you also would like to represent that you're trustworthy to be in a position in the medical field to distribute drugs to those with whom you're engaging in criminal activity. And you're doing that, and this is relevant to what is the absolute opposite of being in any position or any person or entity that is trustworthy. They're not. They're literally engaging in the conspiracy to murder with the Ontario Fire, American Medical Response, and the Ontario Police Department this morning. Those are demons stalking with the Ontario International Airport as I'm walking by, and the entity has impossible light flashing across the Aegis Treatment Center. I'm referring to the record. It is on the record already. I documented gang stalking me under the fake sun that is rising in the morning. As I walk past that venue, that fake sun advances to follow me through the neighborhood, including through the criminals of the Aegis Treatment Center, who are in no position, as they are severely mentally ill, and they're also wildly corrupt, engaging in the criminal system in furtherance of murder with the city of Ontario, the state of California, and its gang members who are drug addicts. They are coming around and gang stalking me because Aegis Treatment Center is in the neighborhood as well. They are a threat to the public. So I just want to go ahead and give that argument there, and it is the like argument for the entity that maintains that sort of presence in a community full of demons who are engaging in the pattern of conduct. You're not in any position to be handing out drugs to the public. You are in need of medication, actually, because they're psychopaths. They're maintaining the illusion where you're thinking that the person that's wearing scrubs and has the acronym, or excuse me, the abbreviations MD or RN before their name, or PAT or PAC, that they're sane and that they're trustworthy, or that they're even normal, and they're not. They're mentally ill, they're psychopathic, they're demon-possessed, they're highly malicious, and they're actually looking for an opportunity, and I am categorizing because this is the entity that's engaging in that as one with the gang members of the city of Ontario. This is what's going on throughout the states. And you are under illusions where you are subject to that pattern of conduct, and they're engaging in that pattern of conduct with regard to what is ongoing surveillance. You will never be in a position, ever, that is going to change what is already established as fact, because my evidence isn't serving any conspiracy theory. So you're talking about what L. Edwards is standing under at 9 in the morning while they're gang stalking me at this same bus stop. Okay, you're talking about what are they sitting at the bus stop at 12 in the afternoon where Omnitrans is engaged in gang stalking, the same Omnitrans that is in the images that I'm capturing with the presence of the Ontario Police, which I've captured so many times, that ongoing criminal cooperation with regard to criminally monitoring me. Omnitrans that keeps a fake sun through the window. Omnitrans that's a violent sex offender molesting me with engineered light that swims on the inside of its bus, on the floor and in the air and across the roof. That's what's stopping, while JPAS is failing at and doesn't want to repeat what is implied defamation, which cannot be under any circumstances persuasive. He's a psychopath. He's a vagina monitor. He's a gang member that's wearing a police uniform, and he's also trying to imply, and I'm referring to what I'm speaking to JPAS about, because he's talking to two drug addicts. They're two drug addicts, and you see how they're representing themselves in the video. So you're sitting there trying to speak as though you're speaking reasonably to them, the two sane individuals, and I'm the one that's over here freaking out. While you see exactly what they are. They're criminals gang stalking on what is the 19th, and with the same gang members of the Ontario Police stalking by helicopter, ongoing, stalking by the Ontario International Airport, and it's the same location, and they're on the video engaging in all manner of showing the thugs that they are, while they're hostile to that documentation, showing what they are and what they're doing and who they're doing it with. The demons that are right in relevant position with the criminals of the Aegis Treatment Center, stalking with all manner of light activity. And they're doing so while they are engaged in what is actually failed witchcraft. This is witchcraft that is criminal conduct relevant to surveillance, and it is surveillance that is underway on the internet as well. But I just want to go ahead and be clear. This is an entity that's engaging in psychological torture tactics. The entity employed what are serial stalkers. This is what OVITT Family Community Library does. The demons that I document as engaging in this is what is so sad. You are putting up a banner, hey, I'm mentally ill, please diagnose me and have me committed. That's literally what they are pleading for while they are being prosecuted. And this is their prosecution. In fact, it is already complete. So you have the entity that is already, first of all, my money is secure. They're not getting a dime. It's not going to change and be uprooted. It's also not changing what you are already shown to the world as engaging in. The federal government is not looking, okay. Well, maybe we jump to the conclusion after we've been engaging in investigating for years and we don't know who we're dealing with and we don't know the whole picture, the comprehensive means of the optics of what is going on here with regard to an entity that is targeting in the ways in which it's already been proven. And as I document that in the entity engagement, they're watching you engaging in cussing, they're watching you swinging your cane at me, they're watching you engaging in what is all manner of inflammatory speech because you're being, because they know why too. They know they're watching you attack, they're watching you engage in that, and they know why as well. And they also know who is engaging in that criminal conduct with them, because it's criminal activity to engage in cussing me out in the engineered environment. You're monitoring with the gang members who then are psychopaths arriving in the vehicle while they are sitting there waiting. Now's the time. And they come around, you were already stalking the whole time. That is not under any circumstances changing the narrative whatsoever. It is highly unsuccessful and it's an act of desperation. I want to make sure that I articulate that. I've done this time and time again, but I want to speak to how pathetic. There is nothing that this entity could ever do because it is always relevant to surveillance. Ever. Okay? So the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct. You swing your cane at me, I take that cane and your cane is broken. Period. You broke your cane. This is an entity that's gang stalking. The government doesn't even have a right to be in your presence. So then you run around, you roll around the corner, and you're hoping, because that's what that is. But this is somebody that you're listening to me document. I would love. This is why I'm documenting. I would love to hear what is your take, Paz, because you're going to prison. So what is your take? So these are gang members that also know these are. This is a pathetic and ongoing desperate act. You engage in kidnapping. It will never be legitimate, ever. Even if you're talking about, let's say I square off and punch him between his eyes. He's a coward. He's with a woman who is engaging in what is trying to hit me, and this woman is with him. This is a coward that you're with, but clearly you're talking about the level of, okay, the lack of evolution of human beings, but they're drug addicts at the bus stop. They're gang stalking at that level in life, and they're gang stalking somebody else when you clearly have things that you should be focused on, prioritizing. And then, as it's pointed out, you're engaging in what is all manner of showing the fact that you are nothing other than lowlifes. You're trash, and that's what's coming out of their face on video, and it's going on the internet because the government's being prosecuted, and so are they. I'm taking images of what is criminal summoning. You need to understand that the handicap, that the crackheads are going to prison. You don't have a defense talking about, oh, I didn't know what I was saying because I was high, or I don't know that they're the targeted individual. I was just mad because it's audible activity with the gang members who showed up on video. You're going to prison. Understand that it is a strict liability basis because the P.O.C. is already established and the federal government knows what I'm capturing. And this is also why you're never coming from some successful angle. So they're engaging in what is an opportunity, however, and that's why they're going to prison, because those gang members will commit kidnapping anyway. That's what Craig Hazelwood engaged in, and that's also why I'm prosecuting the government. This is an unlawful threat to my life under all circumstances. They're still stalking by helicopter as you're looking at them. The federal government is watching that. There is no confusion about what is somebody's psychological state when you have sought, and it's already known by the feds that the Ontario police have been conspiring my murder and to engage in kidnapping. Every kidnapping is pursuant to criminal defamation. So you're not adding to what is already criminal acts that you created. Pay attention to the loud noise because they don't like the truth that I speak. It's already relevant to a paper trail of criminal acts that you committed. As you've defamed my character through the criminal activity that you committed against me, you're going to prison for it. That's that return to sender of their failed witchcraft, and it's also the federal charges for the criminal conduct. Every time you put handcuffs on me, that was a battery. And every time you search me, that's sexual assault and battery. That's pursuant while you're engaging in surveillance the entire time, which is also proven under a fake sun and an engineered light. That same entity that's engaging in that environment is stalking me in psychopathic and deranged manners, which is relevant to a threat to your harm, and it's also psychologically harmful. And they intentionally combine those elements while then they whip around the corner with regard to that same entity that's engaging in what is a battery. And if you think that you're going to sit in a chair, you can't even walk, you're not a man, and I will attack the fact that you are not a man while you're sitting there talking like that in the presence of a female. Okay, while he's attacking another female and putting his cane at me as though I'm supposed to run away. And if that's supposed to be the entity that is then showing up on a body cam and you're supposed to record that, and that's supposed to make the target individual appear like they're mentally ill, because that's what the Ontario police are going for. That's what they're going for. While they remain the one engaged in surveillance. Everybody knows what these light slingers are doing. Everyone knows that they're all gang stalking. 6GVX922 is a stalker. She's a stalker. Now, that doesn't mean that American citizens have the right to go graffiti on their car with spray paint stalker, because that's what they are. They are. But at the same time, you don't have any legitimacy. And moreover, this isn't just me that's just talking into an orbit that nobody's listening to. This is an ongoing federal investigation. And the feds already know who you are, what you're doing. They know where you were stalking before you rolled up on me. And you're going to prison because that's relevant to an unlawful threat. Unlawful threat while the gang members surround me wearing those uniforms. They're doing so while their co-defendants, the people that state the drug addict in the wheelchair that's attacking me with a cane that is broken, and rightfully so, while he's engaging in what is trying to attack me with it. So you're engaging in that why? Because I'm documenting you, which you are going to do while the government is conspiring your murder. And then you're pulling up while you're engaging in what, because this is what the entity is seeking out. While they're seeking to trigger, and understand this is the bigger picture is that this is a psychological torture tactic. This is supposed to bother you. This is supposed to cause you to freak out. And then they record it on body cam. You see, she's a criminal. She's out here attacking people. She's out here freaking out. She's, this is the person that we still unlawfully kidnapped and cannot establish ever molested a child, never engaged in breaking into any venue, never engaged in harassing anybody at the Ontario Town Square where you're engaging in surveillance, never physically attacked Tracy Banks, who was lying about being my mother. They're also engaging in what is sharing in that lie with knowledge and purpose with regard to the criminal conspiracy to murder and kidnap. That will never make any of that and much more lawful, legitimate. It will not make that make sense. But yet they're engaging in it. This is the mentally ill. That they are psychopathic and delusional. But that psychopathic and delusional disorder is a threat to an American citizen because they have a gun on their waist and a badge on their chest. They have a logo on the side of that car, and with which they will engage in kidnapping. You're going to prison. And so are the demons that are committing battery with these gang members that are, you already know that they're stalking and molesting with light while they're engaging in surveillance on the roads and the highways, not traffic. They're all stalking me. They're all monitoring my vagina, and they're all obsessed with me at the same time while they've already lost. The city of Ontario is being gutted out. You're not stealing my money, my inheritance, my property. You're also not stealing my reputation. The entity's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and everything about my reputation that has been harmed is pursuant to criminal surveillance. You were targeting the whole time, and you're targeting today. And it's not just me stating that. The federal government already knows. The federal government already knows that. So where are you going with this? Okay, so the demons, over-presence again, you've got 3 of them that arrive immediately upon this demon's cane being broken while he's attacking me with it, sitting in a wheelchair, as though I'm going to flinch. You can't even walk. He's a vagina monitoring cripple. And you can't even walk, and I'm supposed to flinch? Okay, these are the demons that engage in assault and battery at the veterinary hospital. Who's stalking in the background in those videos? You've already known that. The Ontario Police Department, stalking by helicopter. Who's stalking in those videos while they're engaging in assault and battery? The Ontario International Airport. And you already know that. And what is all over the environment that you can see? Their engineer light are engaged in all manner of perpendicular, all manner of contradictory locations. They're an engineer light engaging in what is assault and battery, and then who rolls up with regard to criminal summoning? The same gang members of the Ontario Police engaging in the same pattern of conduct, the exact same pattern of conduct. You committed assault and battery then, you committed assault and battery today, and it's pursuant to documentation that you as the American citizen are absolutely compelled. You are required to document in order to stop the government from seeking to conspire your murder, from targeting you. And then you're assaulting and battering and kidnapping me because I'm documenting you. Documentation, by the way, which is relevant to your First Amendment rights, documentation relevant to what is the illusion regarding private property. There is no such thing because they're engaging in surveillance. And you're going to prison because that point, that fact, which is already proven, but it's proven through the substance of the P.O.C. And because of that ongoing illusion, this alternate universe where they're abusing the system, because you have to wait to that point while they still abuse a system, you're going to prison for that. You're going to federal prison because it's actually not private property, and none of them are private citizens. They're engaging in criminal activity as a public entity, and they abuse that. That's what Starbucks is doing, kidnapping with this same gang members. These same gang members on July 4th, 2025, under a fake sun that I'm capturing on this same street through the windows of that same Starbucks after 7 p.m. And you are pulling up with a straight face like everybody forgot that. They literally are on video engaging what is cussing me out and why. Talking about F you, all manner. They're trash, straight trash. And the federal government, you're talking about what is an ongoing federal investigation. The government that is engaging what is targeting you through crackheads, drug addicts, rapists, those that are out here engaging what is lawlessness, for the government to be stalking you via those people, that's a that's federal prison in and of itself, because that's what the government is doing. These are drug addicts stalking me. And you need to understand that it's an illusion with regard to the demons that are driving Staples vehicles. You are thinking that they're at two different levels because one has stable employment. Perhaps one has never been arrested for drug abuse. They're both psychopathic. One just has a tendency with regard to illegal drug use, which the entity that's sharing in surveillance together has a criminal record showing that pre-existing legal issue. There's no difference amongst them. They're all demon possessed. They all share that mental instability. The ones that are on drugs, they're not even, neither are the ones that are sober, but those are the ones, those demons are just spitting out whatever comes to their brain, very foolish, and I'm going to run that tape back because whether you're high or not, you're going to prison for gang stalking with the Ontario Police, for committing battery while you're gang stalking with the Ontario Police, for engaging in criminal summoning upon committing battery with the Ontario Police, for engaging in psychological torture, which is shown through the substance of the P.O.C. This is what they're doing. I was narrating what they were doing. The big, manly-looking white woman that's walking her dogs with regard to stalking me, doing so with the Ontario Police on vehicle, doing so as I'm documenting in images on a serial basis. She's doing so with regard to the fake son that's speaking to surveillance, not the ongoing, this is the path I always take. Well, the path that you take is serving for what is gang stalking me in furtherance of murder, and you're going to prison. This is what these delusional demons do not understand. No, you don't supersede. The pattern of conduct supersedes. This is how you show and prove that a government is targeting. A government that is acting to a population who, again, are relying on numbers because they all say that it's not happening, and they all say that it's not happening while they just act like it's not happening. So they don't have to overtly state it. They are impliedly stating, and they are also showing what they are showing because that's not even logical. You're looking clearly. You don't have to say a word. You can look at the videos on mute. You'll see the light activity. You'll see the fake sun. You can look at 6 hours later at that same address. You'll see the light activity. You'll see the fake sun. You don't have to listen to anything. They're all prosecuted in silence, okay? Moreover, as you speak, oh, please keep talking, Satan. Keep talking, because you're going to prison. Keep talking, because that's the government talking. That's the government cussing you out. That's the government swinging its cane at you. And then you have the government, with regard to an illusion, as though you don't already know what's happening, federal government. That's why they're going to prison, turning around the corner, not coincidentally, as that cane is broken, hoping that they get some sort of turn where this will go, oh, well, you can, so that you can kidnap. No, you never had a basis. Even if I were to kick somebody's car, you don't have it's kidnapping. And that's the principal matter. Now, I'm not going around engaging in that, but that's the principal matter. You're engaged in surveillance, and that's exposed. You are actually criminals, and you're out here acting like you're cops, and you're not. You're not even engaged in law enforcement. You pulled up pursuant to surveillance, not coincidentally. You pulled up pursuant to surveillance. And you're engaging in surveillance, which is criminal. And you're engaging in surveillance with everyone that's around me at all times. And you're psychotic with regard to an illusion as though you're not engaging in surveillance when you drive off or when you fly off, because nobody is forgetting that you maintain surveillance stalking me day and night in helicopters, while you then are standing with a straight face and seeking to try to imply some sort of, you know that she is what? Paz didn't want to repeat what he said, because it's audible activity. It's criminal defamation. So please, Satan, repeat what you said. He didn't want to repeat it. While he's talking to drug addicts, what is it that you're relating to? You can see these lowlifes and what they're speaking about on the video. And Paz is talking to them like they are the calm ones in the situation. They just committed battery. This handicapped demon who is gang stalking me and seeking to attack another woman while he's in the presence of a female that clearly does not have a problem getting her head pounded in by a handicap who feels inferior as a person and as a man. He's not a man. You're not a man gang stalking some other woman. You're not a man trying to hit another woman. And the reason why you're really trying to hit me is because I'm over here documenting and prosecuting you, and you're very much bothered by it. There are demons that are being simultaneously discerned. Remember that. They're under the fake sun. It doesn't get any more damning and direct. There is no day under the cloudy sky that will cause anybody to forget what Mike LORENZ and that entire agency is engaged in. Nobody is forgetting that. And most importantly, the federal government is not forgetting that. Nobody is forgetting that Tracy Banks is not my biological mother. You will never make these facts go away. You are targeting. Targeting will never serve to make legitimate or retroactively make legitimate the criminal acts that you've already committed. It will not undo that. The fact that you're lying about your status to me, you're not my mother, you're not my husband. And targeting me, what you've been doing, targeting with that Ontario Police Department that's engaged in surveillance, does not change that. You're looking at another iteration of that same P.O.C. Nobody is confused about what it is that I'm documenting and what it is that I'm confronting. And it includes vagina monitors that can't walk, who feel insecure with regards and inferior as the male gender, especially with regard to the way in which I am exposing what they are and what they're doing. And then you try to attack me with a cane while the government is speaking to everything that you're doing, stalking by plane and helicopter and stalking as an agency, all manner of criminal expenditure of resources, the prosecution of Paul Leon. While you're pulling up in a police vehicle and a gang of them around you, understand that that's a threat as well. They all have guns on their waist, and that's exactly how an entity commits murder, and then they control the narrative when you don't know about gang stalking. And they're all doing that, and I want to make sure that it's clear. This is an entity that is doing so while they are failing at ever affecting what is the care or making relevant. It still remains legally irrelevant. The government that is targeting you has no basis to talk about your mind state, your mental health. I just want to be clear. This is an entity that's engaged. You're going down for prison. You're going to prison. You're literally waiting for that Ontario Police Department at 2500 South Archibald to be raided. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. Harassing me and spending all those hundreds of, how much money they just wasted right now with AMR, with the Ontario Fire Department, and with the Ontario Police Department. They're wasting money while they're gang stalking. But to them it's not a waste, because this is how the system operates. This is actually surveillance, which is the purpose of my P.O.C, the pattern of conduct, my body of evidence, to let you know that this is the United States government is keeping American citizens under surveillance. The United States government is keeping everyone under surveillance. So I'll put it that way. And there are other entities, there are other parts of the world that are not going to like that. So anyway, and there are other parts of the world that are sharing in that. So the United States is sharing in terrorism, and the United States is engaging in terrorism amongst those that do not know about that. And this is relevant to what the United States government is doing to American citizens. Okay, they're terrorizing American citizens, and they're also terrorizing those outside of the United States, terrorizing those that are not American citizens. I mean, doing so outside of the bounds of international law, doing so outside of the bounds of the U.S. State and federal constitutions. Okay, so I just want to be clear. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and it's never going to be anything relevant to anything other than ongoing criminal defamation, where you thought that you were going to help Tracy Banks take over my identity, defame me, have me kidnapped, and then she was going to step into my skin and have my money and be me and take over the P.O.C, and this is her creation and all. So there's no theft of my intellectual property. There's no fraud for lying about being married to me on paper so that you can collect money and property and speak to the fact that your wife, who is me, and I don't even talk to you, while you're having sex with my mother, who's actually not my biological mother. They're both psychopaths, Jason Fields and Tracy Banks, and that's relevant to the Ontario Police gang stalking me with crackheads at the bus stop. Crackheads who are never in any position to serve for what is defaming me. This is how desperate, this is how low-reaching, but that's what the Ontario Police are. They are thugs. They're thugs. Okay? You ever heard of the term nigga? Niggas have nothing to do with the color of your skin. Ontario Police Department are full of niggas. That's the truth. They're treacherous, limitless, relentless, boundless. Okay, they don't have any sort of basis whereby they will. There is no level of depth that they will not sink to. They're niggas by definition. They are ignorant. Okay, being a nigga is not having anything to do with your color. That's relevant to the treachery of ignorant people who are desperate. And it is all over the World Wide Web what the Ontario Police just did again today, and it's never going to help them in any case. And niggas come in all colors, by the way. I'm documenting Asian niggas, I'm documenting white niggas, I'm documenting all manner. Niggas over and under the age of 18, if you want to be actually very clear about it, because it has nothing contrary to what you have been conditioned to think, that that's a term that only applies to what is black people, and it's been used to oppress them. Yes, it was used to oppress them, and improperly applying it to the color of your skin, and it doesn't have anything to do with that. Look at the character. You're looking at the absence of an intelligence factor. Those are niggas. They're desperate. The ongoing clear engagement, I want to be clear, the malice that's exhibited by the Paz, Makita, Yamas, the gang stalking female who looks like the demon that was stalking with the dog, as though you look less threatening under the fake sun. Those are all niggas, and I want to be clear, they're engaging in what is malice. The malice with which the entity is engaging in this criminal summoning, they're in other words, stalking somebody while wearing a police uniform. You're being simultaneously diagnosed. I hope that you understand that. The medical professionals are going to dissect in the way I've shown you. okay? And the way I'm showing you is not anything, I'm not going off of some weird random, no, I'm showing you this is malice, this is malice. They think you don't see this, this is malice. They think that you don't know that this is going on, this is malice. Look up in the sky space, look at the environment, look at this same person that committed this over here. They're seeking to psychologically, while they're speaking this, while they're in your presence, while they're wearing that uniform, representing that agency and that power that they are abusing and that they don't have because of the nature of the crime, and look at the environment that they're in while they're doing that. This is malice. You're being diagnosed. As you come into my presence, you are subject to what are going to be prison and mental examinations, and these niggas do not understand that. They don't understand that. And you know why? Because they are mentally ill. They actually are. Psychopathic and delusional. You're stalking by helicopter at the same bus stop. You are targeting me. That's not questioned at all. It's already proven. That's why I'm getting all of my money, and that's why you're going to prison for trying to steal it. That's why you're going to prison for the ongoing long existing record, which I even shared with regard to how they've tried to defame my character, while Tracy Banks and Jason Fields and Eric Spencer and all the rest of them lying about their relationship to me and lying about who I am and what it is that I've done while I've been maintaining my own life as a college student and then going to law school, practicing law, trying to at least, and the people of the state have been harassing me in the workplace, trying to use that as a means, oh, you can't function in the work, you can't take care of yourself because you're mentally ill. And you're mentally ill, and that's why I'm getting all your money that you don't even know about, property that you don't even know about, while I'm lying about you being your mother. I'm not even your mother, but I'm maintaining this narrative behind your back because I know if you ever find out that you're going to drag me, just like I'm doing. I'm dragging Tracy Banks. I'm dragging her sex partner that's the same age as her son, Eric Spencer, Jason Fields. Who knows if Eric and Tracy have actually had sex? This is a sick entity. They're engaging in incest. Okay, so they're engaged in that pattern, and who knows if Jason Fields and Eric Spencer have had sex that's relevant to their mental illness. That's what I'm talking about, the level of sickness here amongst this entity that has tried to target me. And I'm the only one that doesn't partake in any of this nonsense. And I'm the one that they sought to target, and they thought that gang members wearing police uniforms would be successful at it. And what it is, first of all, you're unsuccessful, and it's serving to expose what's going on in this country. Secondly, it's serving to establish precedent. And thirdly, you're all going to prison for it, because the entity is at any point murdering American citizens that they do the same thing to. And by the way, it's all witchcraft. It's witchcraft. Okay, so the entity is engaging in what is this spiritual attack. All right, the spiritual attack is being prosecuted in the physical. It's criminal summoning, and they're doing so with the entity that committed battery this morning. And they're doing so while they are also failing. Arriving with your body cam on, I'm going to, thank you. I'm going to use that body cam footage with regard to what is stalking. You're stalking me, you're going to prison. Strict liability. You're in her, I see her, you're going to prison just like that. I don't think you understand that. I don't think you understand that. There will be no entertaining, oh, look at what she's saying on the body cam and we got this and that. You're going to prison. I'm on your body cam means you're stalking me. You're going to prison. You're going to federal prison. And you're simultaneously being diagnosed. This is that return to sender. What you thought you were going to do is actually happening to you, and you keep serving my purposes. When I say you're going to prison, and you know these gang members of the Ontario Police, there's a long list of receipts regarding so many of them that are going to prison, where so many of them are being analyzed, they're being diagnosed with regard to the malice that is juxtaposed with what they are representing while they are engaged in a conspiracy to murder. Because it's no mystery what the entity is doing, why you're lying about being my mom, why you're keeping money and property a secret from me, why you've repeatedly kidnapping while I've never committed a crime, while you're harassing me through the people of the state who then want to go sit inside of the library as though nothing is happening and as though this didn't happen. They're gang stalking inside of that venue as well. They're delusional. Okay, but this is the entity that's engaging in that, and everyone, it's already clear. It's not everyone. The feds know, because I don't care about what everybody knows. The federal government already knows. I've already completed my prosecution. You are a baboon to engage in that this morning. It's not helping you. You're going to prison. You are going to federal prison. They are as foolish as the demons that keep stalking the people of the state. It's not different with these niggas that are wearing Ontario police uniforms. And I'm using that derogatory epithet. I'm using that on purpose. This is serving what is the ongoing illusions with regard to the entity that targets you with regard to illusions. Because a gang stalker that's wearing a police uniform is in the presence of somebody that's sleeping outside, a product that's being targeted, is a black woman, okay, absolutely has nothing to do with my character and my ability, my history, which this entity sought to defame. You tried to cover it up and make it dirty, murky. all right, which you cannot do because the P.O.C. shows who I am. And if I was crazy, I want to be clear, the P.O.C. would not exist. You have no basis whatsoever. Not only that, LAPD is putting you in prison. Fontana PD are putting you in prison. Okay? Monrovia, Azusa, Chino, they're putting you in prison. There is nothing that you could ever say. And that is a nigga by definition. You are an ignoramus. A treacherous ignoramus. Okay? You're talking about a lily white people. Niggas. They are not identified by that slang term based on your color. That was used to oppress people, and people that didn't know better that just took it on. And then you have ignorant people today that claim, oh, I'm gonna use that word as a means of empowerment. They're ignorant. It is not empowering. You speak the truth. That epithet is rightfully applied to demons that are gang stalking. At this juncture in evidence, oh, you are straight, nigga. You are an ignorant fool. That's where you properly apply. It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that you have a right to use it because you're black. It has nothing to do with your race. I just want to be clear on that. So this is the P.O.C. That's relevant to what you just listened to. The entity, all those gang members surrounding me, they're doing so with hyper presence. You have what is supposedly something that's happening at the bus stop. Some random on the street. There's no random. They're all gang stalking on the street. So you're talking about the entity that is engaged in criminal summoning, the entity that has this knack for arriving on the scene as soon as quote unquote trouble surfaces, as soon as a demon possessed child says, oh, you hit me. And who arrives? The Ontario Police Department pursuant to that lie. As soon as the entity suffers what is damaging its own property after you attack me, and then you have the entity that is simultaneously arriving, seeking for an opportunity, or so they think. And all it is an encounter, which is a threat to my life while you're engaging in surveillance. It's already aware of everything that you're doing. You will never get past over 8,000 videos of you targeting me. You'll never get past that. It will never turn and be something that is damning against me. And that's serving for the people of the state as well. And that is relevant to principle. This is common sense. This is precedent. American citizens cannot be defamed. You are not going to be depicted as a criminal when the government is targeting you. These are fools. That is a nigga by definition. 9TTM186. They literally tried that this morning though. EL56B34 paper plate. Lavish oak that has no customers. Gang stalking. License 9SF8395. Okay, they engage in the pattern of conduct and they're doing so with the people of the state. The Ontario International Airport is stalking while I've been maintaining this ongoing podcast this morning. Okay, it's currently 9:30 a.m. The entity that is engaged in that pattern of conduct is doing so as though a cloudy day. There is no cloudy day. There is no night. You know that the entity is stalking with light on an ongoing basis. This is what CMAX is doing. I'm capturing it in the video. The entity is gang stalking with the city of Ontario. You have the demon, the drug addict from Aegis, engaging in what is seeking to harass. This is relevant to these are tactics where, perhaps someone with less self-control, perhaps someone with a more fragile predisposition is going to perhaps react in some manner which I just want to be clear. Now that you understand how the system operates, now that you understand that it's witchcraft that the entity is utilizing over people, this is serving for what is understanding and properly assessing what is going on in a situation when a government is targeting. Because even under circumstances where an American citizen is, perhaps going to freak out where a serial stalker is openly harassing them, conspicuously surveilling them, and the government wants you to react in a certain way. And why? So that they can kidnap you and state that you're acting irrational and that you're mentally ill. And that's not what's going to happen ever again. So you're understanding how the system operates. And those are state actors. That was the Ontario Police stalking me this morning, sitting at the bus stop, engaging in conspicuous surveillance. That was the Ontario Police engaging in conspicuous surveillance yesterday in the Lexus. And the Asian female, that was the Ontario Police. The Ontario Police engaging in what is stalking through the handicap cripple, through the handicap demon and his female component. That's Ontario Police, and that's why Ontario Police immediately arrive when I break your cane after you hit me with it and I grab it from you and it's broken. It was like plastic. Okay, so Social Security is not going to be supporting terrorists. I just want to be clear. You're not getting any food stamps as a terrorist. You're not getting assistance to pay your rent. I've already documented the entity violating HUD. That's what speaker companies, Woodside Senior Apartments, you understand how the P.O.C. You're not participating in any of that. The government is going to be dropping terrorists like hot potatoes. You're not getting any assistance. And this is relevant to the entity that's not going to be able to afford rent to gang stalk people at an apartment complex. You're not going to be able to pay for your bus fare where you get that discount from the Social Security office, because they're not giving you any. You're not getting any of that as a terrorist. That criminal record. All right, you're talking about what is the benefits that you are not entitled to as an American citizen. They're not mandatory. You don't have a right to them. And you're certainly not getting them while you're a terrorist. And that's what the people of the state are. So they're engaging. And by the way, the canes that they're getting money from the government to purchase, they're using them as weapons while they're gang stalking and furtherance of murder with that same government. The government is not going to incentivize and compensate in any manner terrorists who are the people of the state. And that's another form of incentivizing and compensating the people of the state. Moreover, the government is not interested in assisting those that are criminals, and that's already a pre-existing policy. Now this is proven terrorism in the U.S. You're definitely not getting any government benefits. You're not getting any government benefits. I'm going to let you know that right now, and you're going to need them, especially those of you you're being prosecuted and you're living at, for example, at Alvarado Gardens. That's not going to be if you're still there. You're not remaining. They're all living there on government assistance. You're not getting that. Speaker companies not the people that say, like Avaneth Capital, speaker companies, I'm speaking to the way in which you're prosecuting that, they will not be participating in federal government housing programs. Neither will the people of the state who are documented terrorists, who are engaging in the P.O.C. like California is, shall be able to participate in federal government programs like that. It's affecting everybody. And I've shown you the level of the P.O.C. The evidence is speaking to the policy that is lawfully and constitutionally affecting the entire state. Okay? That's the entity that's engaging in that P.O.C. under a fake sun and doing so. All right, it's currently, by the way, 9:34 a.m. Omnitrends is still engaging in gang stalking in the presence, conspicuously so, of the Ontario Police while engaging in criminal summoning and also on a ceaseless basis and making money. And I will be prosecuting that state actor. It's not a third party, it's actually a state actor. It's relevant to San Bernardino County. The same terrorist, Alan D. WAPNER, is also associated, no surprise, with the corruption of the Omnitrans bus line, heavily engaged in terrorizing me and sexually violating me, stealing from me, harassing me, defaming me, while you are gang stalking in furtherance of murdering me, sharing in that criminal conspiracy, doing so under the guise of what is a corrupt business. That's a massive federal RICO case. The entity, I just want to be clear, it's a federal RICO case also against the Ontario Police Department. Their business is criminal surveillance, and they're masquerading as law enforcement. They're collecting paychecks while they're engaged in criminal activity. They're also engaging in that with every business in the state of California. And it is every business, not just limit. I told you that the cities are merely an illusion. It's an entity. That's why my documentation, federal government, shows you and proves it as I go from Los Angeles to Ontario to Fontana to Chino to Azusa to Monrovia to Claremont to Montclair to Pomona. I can go to San Bernardino, I can go through Rialto, I can go to another state, and you have seen through the evidence what is more than sufficient establishing a pattern of conduct, which is not reasonably questioned, because it is impossible that would happen one time with regard to the environment and what they're doing in that environment. The hallmark, helicopter activity, stalking me by helicopter. They know exactly who I am. The entire state is engaged in surveillance. And it's ongoing as I go to the adjacent state, Nevada. They are already surrounded and they engage in criminal summoning. There is nothing that they could ever do. This only works when against American citizens. That's exactly who I'm advocating on behalf of. American citizens that don't have the evidence. These demons are delusional. I already won my case. My money is sitting up waiting. Nobody can touch it. You're not getting it. And it's not going to, oh, no, wait, just kidding. We're not going to give it to her, because we see today what's on body cam of the Ontario Police, who are documented stalkers, kidnappers, vagina monitors, demons, who have no legitimacy, who are proven to be stalking me obsessively, day and night, in the most expensive, deranged, and satanic methods. So I just want to be clear on that. That's what they committed, and they do it with the people of the state and those demons that are engaging in that. That's federal prison. They're the same ones that engage in battery like they did to the Ontario Veterinary Hospital, and then they engage in criminal summoning. That's how you know that they are engaged in criminal conduct on behalf of the state. Where do you have the boldness and audacity? What foolishness? Who commits criminal activity and then calls the police? Except for one that's engaging in the pattern of conduct to get that target individual kidnapped, when you are committing criminal acts against them. And I documented, there's no question there. And the feds were watching as it was happening. 7XDM431, UPS is gang stalking 40757X2. P.O.C, FedEx, gang stalking, license 25114P3, and they're doing so under the fake sun. All right, this is the pattern of conduct. The entities engaging in gang stalking. The fake son remains where I remain, at the intersection where FedEx is going out of its way to engage in letting you know that they're engaged in surveillance in the United States. They're violating your privacy, keeping your genitalia under surveillance, and so is UPS. You already know that, though. UPS also committed murder in Kentucky. Okay, that's what they're letting you know, and you need to be paying attention. These are enemies to the country, and they make a lot of money off of surveilling you. And then what I'm showing you, while you're aware of it, they engage in more threatening conduct, and they are demons. They're demonic business owners, and all of their employees are demons, and they're engaging in a demonic system of federal group stalking and monitoring, which is the prosecution of the entire state of California, by the way, where you don't have any coincidence when I even have the body of evidence showing the pattern amongst businesses like Amazon, FedEx, USPS, Amazon Prime. You have the entity DHL, while you're stalking me by the Los Angeles Fire Department under the fake sun, while you're presenting a package to one of my gang stalking residents at Alvarado Gardens, where the fake sun rises and sets, and where the Ontario police and these gang stalking crackheads in a wheelchair would never be under the fake sun at any point in the day. That's how you know that FedEx and UPS are targeting, and that they're demons operating these commercial vehicles where you will associate that federal RICO case. License 08CAS16 and 9WGL530. Stalking at Starbucks under the fake sun. Okay, and doing so at what is 9:39 a.m. 9:39 a.m. during Standard Time is 10:39 a.m. during Pacific Standard Time, when this entity, Ocean, Patty, and all the rest of those demons with L. Edwards and A. Quesada and Alex Escobar, they committed kidnapping while this surveillance system was underway with the city of Ontario, including demons like FedEx and USPS and UPS that are engaging in surveillance, and they engage in kidnapping as well. And this is what you need to understand regarding the policy. The gang stalking mailman, as I document the P.O.C. and the entities engaging in kidnapping, they're all going to prison. Because they're all engaging in targeting you together. So you're understanding the significance of what they're doing in the environment. It's just the gang members themselves that have those handcuffs that commit kidnapping. Oh, they're kidnapping as an entity. And everybody sharing and monitoring are going to prison. And I've documented that, okay? So this is understanding why that policy is the way. It's not just the gang members of that agency. They can't do it without the people of the state. The people of the state includes those that are letting you know. FedEx is letting you know that they're willing to go to federal prison, and they are. Everyone that I documented the blackmail operating a UPS vehicle gang stalking me with LAPD, he's going to prison. He's going to prison, and it's just sitting on the record. There is no statute of limitations. There's nowhere that he can run and hide. He's going to prison, and this is the entity, their co-defendants, their helpers, showing exactly why they belong in prison. It's the same pattern of conduct, the same P.O.C. The entity is going to prison, not just the gang members that are masquerading as police departments. They're going to federal prison as an entity. Everybody that I'm capturing that in that zone while that kidnapping is underway is going to prison. All right, so I just want to be clear on that. So this is the P.O.C. and the entity has the fake son, as I'm documenting that kidnapping at this Starbucks at 7 in the morning, at this 7:15 a.m. in the morning. That would have been it's 10:39. Now it's 10. It would be 10:40 relevant to daylight savings time. So this is, again, that the sun would be present, daylight savings time or not, and it would not. Okay, and so that which is over me now is not also over in Florida, while I'm showing you the fact that it's staying on the same street, the same block, where crackheads that are stalking me in wheelchairs that are hostile to it are gang stalking me with a police department that is already expired with regard to its existence. They're walking around on owed time. They're going to prison. They're still engaging in stalking. They're engaging in what is surveillance. They're hostile while they're engaging in that. They're delusional. While they provide body cam footage, that body cam is putting you in prison. There is nothing. I just want to be clear, I am literally impenetrable to you. I am untouchable to you. And this is what you also don't understand, I am the one that's investigating you, that's prosecuting you. And just because you don't like it doesn't change. It doesn't change. It's already known that I'm not out here engaging in criminal activity. I don't have to sit around and act and lie about anything. This demon got his cane broke because he hit me with it. Good luck getting another one. But you're engaging in that conduct. This is what these demons do, and they're being documented. While the federal government is watching, they commit murder when they think nobody is watching. And guess who comes around, whipping around the corner, already aware about what happened? Demons that are being disbanded, the Ontario Police Department, they're murderers and kidnappers. And they have engaged in what is an abysmal failure in trying to sacrifice me. That is, under the law, conspiracy to murder. They failed in it. And it's a publicly exposed failure. And to date, January 22nd, 2026, they're still engaging in that. They're engaging in that while the federal government, because that's the one that matters. The federal government is the one that knows the exact proper narrative, comprehensively what's happening, and also knows that it is not what is relevant to what's on a body cam of some gang stalking police officer who's actually going to prison with that same body cam footage. because it's not limited to what they are using with regard to seeking to create a narrative while you're in her presence in the first place. And that's the question that they can't answer. Okay, because they can't answer with regard to the specific environment. It's going to be crickets in federal court. They're not going to say anything about the fake sun. They're not going to say anything about the impossible light activity. They're not going to say anything about the helicopter activity that I'm documenting coexisting with your clear stalking, that pattern of conduct as an agency. They're not going to say anything about the pattern of stalking as an airport at that same location. None of that's separate. You can separate it all you want as you compartmentalize your mental illness on a daily basis, but it's not separate. It's not. They're not going to say anything about it. You're going to prison. You're going to federal prison. And you hear me tell you this every single day while you're keeping my vagina under surveillance in the bathroom. Because that's the reality. What the federal government also knows what you're doing while you're turning around the corner while an old crackhead in a wheelchair is trying to attack me with a cane. Because I'm documenting you. I'm documenting you. That's the pattern of conduct. There is no demon that can defame your character. That's what this is speaking to. This is removing the government's ability to ever again defame an American citizen. Because that's what it is defamation. You're engaged in surveillance. You don't even have authority under the said statutes that you address, that you seek authority under and jurisdiction under, while you're engaging in this directly opposing and contradictory system of surveillance. It's directly rebutting what you claim to be interested in and seeking to achieve. Directly rebutting it. And the fact that you're doing it secretly. It ain't a secret no more. Okay? And so these niggas are going to prison. They are. They're going to federal prison. These are the entity that all these demons, you know that they're light slingers. You've seen them gang stalking me with a possible light at night. You've seen them gang stalking with a possible light during the day in the shade. Okay? While they're all cycles under a whole fake sun, a whole population of dead people who could not on their best day. I don't care if you're wearing Versace. You could never defame somebody else. Everybody knows that you're a raving lunatic. You have no legitimacy. And you're a threat to this public while you give birth to dead people. They're demons. They're dead. They give birth to the demon-possessed. That's what's out here gang stalking. I would want to make sure that that's abundantly clear. Okay? There is nothing that anybody can do or say. All you do is make it worse for Tracy. She's going to prison, and she's going to prison for longer and longer and longer. Mike Lorenz is being prosecuted. Paul Leon is being prosecuted. The entity, every kidnapper is being prosecuted. Everybody threatening me by being in my presence with a gun on their hip is going to prison. Because it's that serious. Any one of those people, and that is an unlawful threat that American citizens have a right to not be present or subject to. And they engage in it because they presuppose, well, you can't even prove that I'm stalking. Neener, neener, neener. What are you going to do about it? I'm going to show you what the federal government's going to do about it. Putting niggas like them in prison. Putting them away. They're gang members. And they're gang members out here with those collecting food stamps. They can't even pay their rent. All right, they're out here talking the most loudest, nonsensical, audible activity, and they are literally bums. My sleeping outside is not the same circumstance as your sleeping outside. Who's gang stalking you? Who's stealing from you? No, you're a bum that just can't hold a job because you actually are mentally ill. Nobody's targeting you. You're out here targeting somebody else. You don't even have a roof over your head. That's what's out here trying to defame. These gang members that think numbers are going to establish the law. They are in an alternate universe. And actual mental health assistance and examinations is going to help bring them down to earth. And they're going to be treated uniformly under the actual law as it stands, not the way in which this entity has been abusing it and exercising authority that they don't have. Why? Because it's surveillance. Pursuant to surveillance, you're not engaging in law enforcement. You don't have probable cause, reasonable suspicion. And this non-fabulous demon, license FABULS1, is not fabulous. She's a demon. She's gang stalking at Starbucks. 7H 89416 P.O.C. The entities engage in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they are engaged in all manner of a corrupt system, where under all circumstances, where they are engaged in, this is the flip of the mouse that's flipped on its head, where the system is designed such that they're all stalking you, and they're stalking by definition. I've proven the environment, so now you're able to see, okay, we're all on the same page now. They're stalking. This is entirely impossible that this would ever be the case. And I've shown that it's the case all day long, including at night. And guess what? There's no fake sun when you see the same engineered light. This is showing you what the purpose is. Do you know who is engaging in this ongoing witchery with light? Demons are. They're monitoring you. Monitoring is pursuant to surveillance. You are stalking while you're monitoring somebody. You're stalking and monitoring as a public entity that thinks that it can hide like a stalker in a ninja suit and that you don't see them because they're hiding behind 5033AJ3, but they're not hidden because that's an established stalker on behalf of the state as well. While they share the same identical behavioral pattern, same criminal presence, it all becomes criminal. It all becomes what is the conduct of the public entity. When you're engaging in the pattern of conduct, that changes everything. It changes everything. So you've implicated what is federal law. You don't have any private property. You're not speaking as a private citizen. The government engaged in cussing me out while the government has conspired to murder me. The government that is targeting me at work. The government that is defaming me as a matter of official record. The government that is stalking me in helicopters. The government that is stalking me all day and night, including in restrooms. The government that is stalking me amongst millions of people at a time. The government that is surrounding me everywhere that I'm going, including inside and outside of Ontario. The government that's engaged in what is kidnapping and doing so with the entities that are the county, the court. That's the government that's cussing me out at the bus stop in a wheelchair on crack. That's the government. The government that's a sex offender molesting my body with light that's just flying in the air. The government that's engaged in witchcraft. That's what's cussing you out. That's going to prison. That is going to federal prison. That's what the government is doing through psychopaths. P.O.C. Some more fans driving a white van, 616-42W1, while they're homosexual females that are probably driving someone else's van because they don't want me to get their license plate. And they're here gang stalking at Starbucks. It is currently, by the way, 9:48 a.m. This is the P.O.C. This is understanding exactly what it is that I stated. Systematic infliction of inhumane suffering, SIIS for federal law. You're understanding what the government is doing, and it is all, under all circumstances, the government. It's the government speaking. It's the government acting. It's the government that's stalking you, and stalking you conspicuously. That's an ongoing, entirely unlawful threat. It's an unspeakable threat for somebody to stalk you in your face like, yeah, I'm gonna stalk you. I'm gonna stalk you right in your face. And what are you gonna do about it? That's what the government is doing. That's what the government is doing. And thankfully, we all have evidence that the government is doing it because the geniuses are doing it under the fake sun during the day, all day, that doesn't move, remaining over me, and does it while the entity keeps that fake sun that doesn't move all day, aim through every window, every ceiling, every crevice that I point my head toward, and I just put my camera so you can see that. That is supernatural with regard to what is the government that is maintaining presence in any address, at any location, i.e. a facilitating venue where you are not private or public property. You are a facilitating venue where surveillance is underway, and you're going to prison, just like everybody of the Ontario police that is stalking me. You might as well fill it with the Ontario Police Department and just have them pacing inside of the library, have them pacing inside of State of Brothers, have them driving all around pacing through the parking lot, because you're going to prison all the same. It's the same entity. They think that they could hide, the government thought that it could hide amongst the people. You can't, and you're also an idiot, because when you're talking about what is clear targeting by the airport, clear targeting by the heliport, the Ontario Police Department, clear targeting by a population. What is this light flying through the air? How do you do that? How does that happen? They've provided so many red flags. And then this is not just an anomaly. I'm getting a pattern of conduct as I go even out of the state with regard to what is never, ever going to happen. This is so beyond what is a foolish conduct with regard to somebody prosecuting the government. And you still thought that witchcraft, because you're mentally ill, you still thought that witchcraft was going to, nobody sees the evidence and they're going to believe me because I wear a police. You're going to prison, fool. That's a nigga. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. They're ignorant because they successfully killed other demons like them. Other niggas like them. But that doesn't mean the government has a right to do it. This is serving to protect American citizens who are being targeted like myself, who have a right to not be persecuted, who have a right to not be stolen from, who have a right to not be defamed in doing so. Because that's what you try to ruin my good name, which you know you would have to do because you're totally monitoring my vagina and stalking me day and night. While you try to bring down what is a lifestyle, and a lifetime of living an upright way of life. I've never been a criminal, and I've never been interested in criminal conduct, and that's not why I went to law school. That's not why I spent all that time financing I didn't do all that, and I didn't maintain all this evidence, and I'm just sitting outside documenting stuff because I don't have anything to do. The government would like for you to think that I'm just imagining it, and I'm all of the P.O.C, which makes perfect sense, logical sense, waking up people across the world, that's just mental illness conduct, that makes no sense, it's all gibberish. You wish, Satan. You wish. There's no way that somebody that's mentally ill would even come up with anything remotely close to that. You don't have a pattern of conduct amongst the mentally ill. That's directly rebutting what the entity has sought to do, criminally defame me, while Paz and Makita, and I believe his name is Yamas, are engaging in what is criminal summoning with a crackhead in a wheelchair. That's engaging in battery on behalf of all of them together. They're all sitting around monitoring. This is a ritual. While they're all monitoring you with the light and they're all pacing around and they're engaging in physical harm, they're engaging in sexual harm, it's a ritual. And it's criminal activity. They're all stalking together as well. And while they do that with the entity that's gang stalking as law enforcement, like LAPD, you're going to prison. That's what's happening to Alvarado Gardens. They're going to prison. That's what the LAPD, while they're sounding sirens and running somebody over in the middle of the street, understand that that's premeditated murder. All right, they're engaged in that pattern of conduct while you hear them sounding sirens. That's exactly what they were doing when they engaged in criminal summoning at the bus stop. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 9:52, where the entities engaged in criminal summoning, the same demons that are, again, very much forgetful. License plate 1630409. The entities engaged in what is criminal summoning with the city of Ontario. This is an unmarked vehicle. I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of that. Stalking in the path with the demons of American Medical Response. This is state action. License 8WAT610. P.O.C. And those are the demons that engage in monitoring the failed witchcraft, which is not erasing the record. It's not going to erase all of the evidence that I just captured by podcast. It's not going to cause people to go back asleep and not realize what it is that I'm exposing. None of it's working. And that state actor, I want to be clear, is engaging in criminal summoning, driving a black Dodge. That's the government stalking in an unmarked vehicle. The entities engage in that together with regard to AMR as the means of audible and light activity while they're stalking in the path, as they all are. 8TDA459, 9WZV392, and a demon gang stalking at the crosswalk with a communication device. This is the means of surrounding. This is the pattern of conduct. All right? The entities engage in that together while the fake sun is over the same intersection. Nobody forgot about that. No one. This is the entity that's engaged in that. I just want to be clear. There is nothing that they could ever do. You cannot go back in history and erase it. You can't go back in history and undefame me. You can't go back in history and unkidnap me. You can't go back in history and unsteal from me. You can't undo any of that. You did it because this is your fate. And these are demons that are engaging in what are assassinating each other. They take each other out. They murder each other. And they did it to me. And I am immune to what I'm showing you is not even effective. It's not witchcraft. They thought that they were magical the whole time. No. You guys are spiritually inferior to each other because you're all demons. You're cult members. You're vagina monitors. You're sex offenders and murderers. That's it. You're liars and thieves. But that does not work against the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit is prosecuting the U.S. government. All right, that committed criminal summoning this morning and does so with psychopaths that are drug addicts, all right, drug addicts that have no business in the medical field, that are a threat to the community. Never mind Ontario. Ontario is full of demons, and that's a threat. That's a ghetto. That's where you're at harm. That's where your safety is being threatened, and that's contrary to what you're taught. Because you think if you go to the suburbs in San Diego that you're safe, and actually it's full of demons in San Diego. And the test is the spirit that's in that environment, not the economic bracket. Not the income, not the race. That's the illusion that serves Satan's purposes. Okay? That's the entity that's engaged in, and they operate by illusions, and they're literally being prosecuted, and they're literally being diagnosed with regard to their ongoing reliance upon illusions, because the federal government is clearly going to be prosecuting like any other stalker. Okay, so you're following Susie Ann everywhere that she's going, and Susie Ann is documenting you, and we know that you know that she's documenting you because we have you in pictures here, sir. The defendant is who the judge is talking to. You're waving at the camera while she's taking pictures of you and documenting you stalking her. And so you're aware that she's documenting you, and then you're engaging in what is not just stalking her and she's on her way to work and back home. Now she's documenting you stalking her everywhere, more frequently. In fact, you're doing so while you're then breaking into her vehicle to be in the car when she's in the car, threatening her life, doing so while you are physically attacking her. So you have been increasing that ongoing threat while you also are aware of the fact that she's documenting you stalking. And you know that she's documenting you because she intends to prosecute you and to force you to stop stalking her. It's going to be the same analysis. This is what the government's been doing, and you're going to be diagnosed. You're not hiding amongst the population. Everybody sees you very clearly. Everybody sees that mental illness very clearly, that ongoing desperation, that ongoing obsession, that ongoing delusional continuation in the face of direct evidence that nobody is questioning. A fifth grader that's looking at the fake sun, not a demon-possessed one, okay? A fifth grader that's looking at the fake sun knows that it is indeed an impossible occurrence, that it's there six hours later. And also does not forget when you were looking at the evidence captured on January 21st and January 20th and January 22nd for the first 3 hours of the day, you're covering it up and then it's still there. And there is no iteration where it's going to be forgotten. Even a fifth grader can understand and absorb that. Okay? You are speaking to what are insulting the intelligence of federal judges who are going to have you diagnosed and going to have you prosecuted in the United States. You're going to prison, and you're going to be subject to mental examinations. And while you go around engaging in criminal summoning because you're triggered by the truth that I speak, State Actor 1677734, gang stalking at the intersection with the city of Ontario in their orange vests, they're all gang stalking me while they listen to me prosecute them on the intersection of East Street and Euclid. I will prosecute you ever, just like I did while you were kidnapping inside of the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. Those signs I was holding up on camera, I was prosecuting you, and you're going to prison. All All right, the entities engaging in that while they are listening to me, and they are engaging in ongoing obsessive stalking because it's not traffic. And there is no evidence that will ever erase the specific environment. You can never get past the engineered light. The people that said are nothing other than demons that are gang stalking, and you're going to prison while you're cussing out the American citizen that you're gang stalking with those gang members that then pull up around the corner the moment that they think that they have an opportunity to engage in what is intimidation while you're utilizing psychological torture, harassment, and terrorism with the demon-possessed little feces eaters themselves, the people of the state. You're stalking the whole time. That's called vicarious and direct conduct. It's all state action. The crackheads at the bus stop are vicariously stalking. Who is gang stalking? The government. That's the government that's on crack in a wheelchair. That's the government that's swinging a cane at me and then doing so. And then that's also the government that's in an Ontario police vehicle and then with 2 additional gang members arriving behind me looking for an opportunity to tackle me, looking for an opportunity to record something damning on you know what you're recording on your body cam? Niggas, you know what you're recording? You're recording evidence of you stalking me. You will never have, I am untouchable to you. And because you don't understand that, you're going to prison because in that cell, you're going to understand it. This is not a game, and this is not somebody, I'm not going to come back and say, okay, I'm just kidding, forgive me, I spoke too soon and I didn't know. You're going to prison. And this is why. This is exactly why, because you belong there, you're terrorist. You're hard of hearing. You're very mentally challenged. You do not pick up quickly. You don't learn at all. You have to go to prison to learn, and everybody else is going to learn with regard to your disdain for understanding what it is that you are allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, and nobody cares about how you feel about it. You don't have authority because you are demons. This is Satan that's being read his rights. This is what you need to understand. Satan has no authority. And everybody also knows that nobody's imagining anything. This isn't within anybody's imagination. It's within your imagination that you're engaging in this system for another year. That you're engaging in this system unbeknownst to anybody. That you're engaging in this system and you're going to duck and dodge or pay your way out of prison. You are going to prison and I'm getting my money. Both are going to happen. You're going to prison. This is P.O.C. Pacing again, 8PRW196. License plate 6VNJ752. And these are demons that sit up and worship. They sit around masturbating. They listen to my voice. They obsess over me in the same way that they stalk me, wanted to be close to me. In doing so, while you cannot psychologically trigger me, I'm literally, I just want to be clear, this is not bragging. These are inferior demonic spirits. So what I am stating is with regard to what is spiritual authority that these demons do not have. I am superior to them. You cannot psychologically trigger me. I'm pointing out your tactics so that everybody else in the world can recognize what Satan is doing. Satan is going by the name of the Ontario Police and people of the state. Satan's being prosecuted. Satan's going to prison. Okay? You are literally inferior to me, and I am prosecuting you, and you're so inferior that you keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again. That is literally the definition of insanity. I have shown your insanity in a plethora of manners, including stalking me in helicopters for hours on end, flying in circles, stalking under a fake sun, stalking amongst engineered light, stalking in the face of everybody that's watching you, and you thought it was going to be a secret, that you caused somebody to appear like they're imagining. You're psychotic. You are psychotic. I've shown your insanity in a plethora of manners. This is the entity that's engaged in that. They are inferior to me. That's what I mean by that. And they thought that my being homeless was going to change the level of inferiority, and it doesn't. It's not based on dollars. Dollars, by the way, let's be clear, dollars that you stole from me. You stole my money. You're stalking me. Even while you stole my money, I am an accomplished attorney, honey. You can't change that. And clearly you can't take my mindset. I'm prosecuting you at E Street in Euclid. I'll prosecute you anywhere. You are inferior to me and you don't have authority. I told you where you're going and you're going to prison. You can get mad and gang stalk as I walk out of the OVITT Family Community Library again tonight. Those demons are going to prison and so are you. You're not getting out of it. All you do is serve my prosecutorial purposes. That's it. Because you are inferior. These demons are surrounded. Starbucks, they're going to prison. OVITT Family Community Library, what are they doing outside? They're going to prison. Who are the people that say stalk with the pulse? Well, they're sitting in the library stalking all day. They're going to prison. You're going to federal prison. Tracy's lying about being my mother while I'm being gang stalked, and she is engaged in that. She's going to prison. You're already wrapped up like a burrito, like an enchilada. You're going to federal prison. And everyone, you're not just going to prison, you're going to federal prison, and the world has a full, detailed understanding about what you are committing against American citizens lacking evidence in this country. Meaning, you target them, and then, because they don't have evidence to prove it, you defame their character. That's how you get away with it and maintain a shiny reputation regarding the U.S. government that nobody questions. And that is no more. That is no more. And it's the same with regard to the reality that you can have a people who are together psychotic. It's not just one in the bunch. It's a population, and their condition is that they're demons. Demons are here amongst us. It is the Nephilim. They are here amongst us. They are not born natural, sane, law-abiding citizens, and that's how they wanted to fit in. They don't fit in, and by the way, my evidence shows they don't even persuasive. They clearly stand out. They're not even persuasive actors. They're very obvious at this level of documentation, at this point in the game. Okay, very obvious. But the way that it's supposed to appear, the illusion, okay, I've shown you the illusion, and then I've removed that veil for you, and everybody sees what they're doing. And while everybody sees them, the federal judges in this country are going to prosecute and serve to diagnose based on the fact that the nature of the crime. So federal judges, federal courts, federal laws informed. You know that you're being documented, and then you engage in X, Y, and Z. That's not different from Tommy stalking Sally Mae all the way to and fro, and then Tommy engages in stalking her more and more and more while he's waving every time that Sally takes pictures of him, and he knows that he's being documented, and he also knows that Sally's taking that to court. And what type of stalker is that? He's wearing diapers, stalking her outside of her house, following her to work, following her to her boyfriend's house, engaging what is breaking into her home and her vehicle, trying to slash her tires, and doing more so, increasing ongoing aggressive conduct. The more that Sally documents, you're going to be committed where people who eat their feces go. That's where you're going. Nobody's mistaken. Nobody is oblivious. Nobody is ignorant about what you're doing. And I put it in a palatable context so that everybody can understand that, moreover, it's Satan. Satan, who's a spirit, who's using a people who are sharing in actual mental illness. And they thought that you were not going to know about it. P.O.C. It's 10:04 a.m. Alrighty, FedEx is gang stalking again, and so is the Ontario Police Department. 8XDX552. 9BZY650, 8XQR332. Starbucks is gang stalking. The City of Ontario is gang stalking. Omnitrans is gang stalking. Omnitrans that's already built into the P.O.C. Everything that I'm prosecuting, everything I'm documenting is relevant to maintaining corrupt businesses like Omnitrans. That's Route 83, for example. All day psychopathic pacing, monitoring me while I'm inside of any building. Omnitrans is maintaining a bus line. This is how a government is maintaining surveillance. And it's the same thing with the gang stalking airport and FedEx, which is targeting with the airport right now, 23752Z3. This is a hefty, I don't know what this is, a girl or a boy, but I'll go ahead and take a picture of it. Flight activity, while the entity is stalking by plane activity. And FedEx employees are gang stalked with LAPD. They're going to prison because this is the ongoing criminal cooperation. They're going to federal prison, engaging in that pattern of conduct together. And this is exactly the ongoing threat to your life that the people of the state pose while they're targeting you. Remember, it's not just annoying conduct, it's criminal monitoring and furtherance of murder. And this is, again, the entity's failed purpose. Nobody's imagining that FedEx is gang stalking me. So the whole purpose behind what you're doing is supposed to create a successful narrative. It's not successful. You're gang stalking. And to continuously engage in gang stalking, meaning you're not coincidentally in the specific environment engaging in the elements of monitoring with the government that has no terminals where they will be hovering over this storefront. You're stalking with the government, in sync with that government that's targeting me, and you are targeting as well with regard to that company being surrounded with evidence of targeting and doing so. And this relevant to informing what I said about FedEx employees in LA targeting me with the LAPD by helicopter is true. They're going to prison. And this is the same exact pattern of conduct. License plate 7DLK709, and that's how demons who are inferior, that's how the intellectually impotent are harming themselves. You're going to prison, but that is to the benefit of the American public because that's where they belong. They belong in prison. 9RXF616. Ontario Police 1591659, vehicle 1021. Hostile. Okay, you can be as hostile as you want in prison. Okay, that's the P.O.C. You're stalking while using your speaker talking about the fact that I'm crossing the street. While you're gang stalking, understand the malice behind that. Those are the unintelligent demons who are engaged in the pattern of conduct. 9UHL512. I want to make sure that that's abundantly clear. Those gang members are going to prison this morning. They're going to prison. The entities engaged in that P.O.C. together with the people of the state. That's a failed psychological torture tactic, and that sort of conduct will not affect you because you're aware of it. Satan is only effective with regard to what you're ignorant of and what you give him power over concerning you. Okay, you're understanding the purpose of that. That's supposed to get you to be triggered, and then you're going to act out, and then the demons who are stalking you pull up with a body cam and then depict your character. Oh, you attacked me. Oh, you broke my cane. Oh, you are putting your phone in my face. And this is the entity that's engaging in what is stalking. You are understand how surrounded by evidence they are. The entity that's engaged in surveillance, they literally, you're talking about Omnitrans itself. Because this isn't public-private property. You don't have a right to be in an apartment building where you live because you are the state. Gang stalk. When I say surrounded, you're talking about surrounded. You don't even have a right to be at what your so-called job. You don't have a right to be at your so-called home. You don't have a right to be at the bus stop because the entity is engaging in surveillance. The government doesn't have warrant, probable cause, legitimate interest. While you're engaging in what the entity is, again, associating belonging, because this is my job. I'm making a delivery. I work here. I live here. I'm traveling here. This is public property. This is private speech. None of it is. It's the malice of this entity that's engaged in public corruption. They don't even have a right to be at their work where they're gang stalking. You're going to prison. You're going to prison, honey. You're going to prison. It's P.O.C. That's the reality of how surrounded by evidence they are. It's 10:08 a.m. Alrighty, it is currently 10:12 a.m. This is P.O.C. getting me on the nonsense, this entity that is already wrapped up with regard to being prosecuted. I want to speak to comprehensive surveillance, which is underway on the internet, which you, as the American public, need to know that. And those who are listening outside of the United States, you should know that it applies to you. So whether you have a constitution or not, and you don't have a constitution like the one that's in the United States, surveillance is underway on the internet. So this, and a lot of people that are listening to me, you already know that. It's just that nobody speaks on that because for a lot of reasons as to why, but I am the one that is, surveillance is underway on the internet. You do not have any privacy, and this is including inside and outside of the United States of America. We are under surveillance with regard to, and this is also relevant to the social media phenomenon. It was used as a means to literally to entice you to participate in that popularity, even rewarding with these influencers. Those are demons. Okay, they're engaging in what they work for Satan, and there is spiritually significant activity going on as you are consuming their content, and they are also speaking to what are spiritually significant ideas and perpetuating what are demonic agendas, and they're doing it through influencing you, literally through the things that they buy, the companies that they promote, the content that they put out, and it is something that is serving for this ongoing system of surveillance. Literally, the entity is engaging in what is targeting you. They know who you are. So by surveillance, I don't just mean that you use your device and what you're doing online on any device at any place. You are being surveilled. You don't have privacy. We don't have privacy. But it's also relevant to surveillance, which you need to understand. Those whose content that you're consuming, they know that you're watching their content. That's how thorough this surveillance is. They're not only surveillance with regard to technology, it's surveillance with regard to, these are demons who are aware, and this is how they are also targeting you. This is relevant then, and with regard to, with that information, being very mindful, being prudent, that is being wise about who you entertain, who you let your eyes sit on, and what you allow your ears to listen to. Because it's not just mere content that doesn't have any sort of impact. It is impacting you spiritually, okay? They are intentionally engaging what is injecting spiritually significant ideas. And by spiritually, I mean demonic. Okay, it is Satan himself that is utilizing with regard to surveilling you on the internet. As you consume the content and as you are accessing it, you're under surveillance in both ways. It's demonic, okay? It's relevant to while you consume the content and what you think about it, how you react to it, you're being monitored. Okay, so they are engaging in that, and they are also engaging in what is targeting through this gang stalking system. It is very much underway on the internet, and this is what I want to be clear, made clear with regard to those who are going to be prosecuted for sharing in gang stalking. Remember, gang stalking is a term of art. Federal group stalking and monitoring is already established as that which is occurring not only physically, gang stalking in irrelevant position, but also that which is occurring with regard to the abuse of the criminal justice system, the sophistication of that system. That's the only type of sophistication. Those that are abusing the criminal justice system. There's nothing sophisticated about vagina monitoring, light slinging, none of that. about amplification. It's purely barbaric, criminal, animalistic behavior. People who are demons, in other words, demons are possessing people who are nothing other than vessels, and those demons are using them to engage in absurdly deranged behavior. And that's where you have them being diagnosed for mental illness. While they're engaging in stalking with light, stalking you with sensational activity, stalking with amplified noise, stalking in the path where they're all together as a group, pacing all around me. And how do you know that they're all pacing around me? Because a fake sun remains over me while they're maintaining what? Presence. While you keep that sun all day long, all you're doing is maintaining presence. You're just pacing. You're going around and around and around and around and around and around and around. And they're doing it pursuant to knowledge of your movements, knowledge of your thoughts, knowledge of your, if you're producing content. And I'm producing content that's exposing the demons. So I'm discerning these demons, and they're triggered by it while I'm prosecuting. 9LVR315. That's a whole other escalated level of frustration by Satan, okay? So you're talking about the entity that's kidnapped me, the entity that's sexually violating me, the entity that's harassing and terrorizing me, the entity that's trying to defame me. While you cannot successfully defame me, you can look at the evidence of the P.O.C. It speaks for itself. My character speaks for itself. My history speaks for itself. This is Satan. That is a liar. Understand the legal term regarding defamation. It's relevant to what is spiritual, which is gossip, and another legal term is slander, but it's spiritual, Satan, that's lying on your character, and it can become something that is used, it's spell work, essentially, and this is what the government is doing while you are being slandered. These are demons that are speaking spells, a negative manner over your name. That doesn't mean it has power and authority, but it is something that it is actionable even under the law, okay? But you're talking about criminal defamation. This is serving a criminal pattern of conduct. All right, so you're trying to defame me. You're defaming somebody. You're defaming an American citizen that you're trying to kill. You're trying to get away with killing them, and then making sure when they're dead, nobody's going to go back and investigate. And oh no, that must be suspicious because that was an attorney. Like, she's never done anything. Like, who would go after her? She's like so low profile. She doesn't even like to be on the internet. She doesn't even date really because she's so focused on her practice, and she's so such a private person. Now you're talking about criminal defamation, which serves the direct opposite reaction. Oh, well, she was a drug addict. That's what we stated. Okay? We stated that she was unfit to keep her money and all her property, and they're not exposing the fact that the person that has died doesn't even know that they had millions and millions of dollars in their name that was bequeathed to them, that was kept from them by that same entity that murdered them and defamed them before they murdered them so that nobody would question. Okay? And who is nobody? Because actually it's an entity. All right, nobody, you're talking about an entity that's serving for what is an ongoing illusion. When you have a conviction in a court, you're talking about what is an operation of an ongoing system, okay? They're keeping themselves employed. These are demons that are playing cops and robbers. While they're gang stalking me, they are showing you that they're engaging in nothing other than an ongoing system of surveillance where they're playing a game. And with regard to that game, these are demons that are subservient. These are demons that are totally under the control. So you're talking about they are intimidated by these demons, and they should, because they will come up missing. They don't have spiritual protection. They are demons alike, and they are out here harming each other, killing each other. And those are demons that are masquerading as law enforcement, and the demons that are engaging in the pattern of conduct. For example, what you're seeing is the freeway chases, the car chases, the high-speed chases. They're having the high-speed chases under the fake sun. At the same time where I'm showing you the fake sun is remaining over me, I don't know, let's just say the OVITT Family Community Library, where I'm showing you from 10 in the morning until 4:45 in the evening. So what are the LAPD, for example, or the California Highway Patrol, what are they doing while the high-speed chase is occurring on the news, the gang stalking news anchors and news reporters that are reporting that to you with the people of the state who are under that fake sun, and they're maintaining a police chase, and you're looking at that light source. You're looking at all the sunlight what sunlight and what sun will be over them when I'm showing you what's juxtaposed. My documentation, there's a fake sun that does not move from OVITT Family Community Library. And it's not forgotten just because you cover up the fake sun. These are delusional vagina monitors. These are the ignoramuses. Nobody forgot that. It will never be forgotten or erased or deleted. You're not resetting anything. You don't control a case that's serving to prosecute you. You don't control the evidence. You don't control the direction that goes. They're delusional. They are delusional. So the entities engaging in that, and they're doing so. OPARC is gang stalking, just like I showed you, and they're engaging in that. I'm going to read their license plate. They're systematically engaged in what is the abuse and exploitation of the developmentally challenged. They're doing so while they're engaging in surveillance of the evidence. So they are not only engaging in what is abusing the developmentally challenged, who, by the way, are engaged in the same demonic pattern. They're over here sparking with light in the peripheral. They're doing so through the developmentally challenged. So when I document, you'll see somebody that looks like they have Down syndrome, and they're stalking with light in the same manner. It's not different from the demons that are over here on crack, sparking with light, sitting inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. The demons that have a newborn, pushing their strollers, sparking with light, monitoring. 9MDP242. And it's a providence that they do that, because you need to know that it's a superficial distinction amongst demons altogether. But you will be prosecuted, because Anthesis and OPARC, they have a responsibility, actually. And in fact, they represent themselves amongst the public as one thing, when actually they're engaging in something entirely different. And it's quite disgusting and despicable. They make a lot of money, and they seek to garner donations from people with regard to the maintenance of what is corruption. That's a federal RICO case of a despicable actor. Okay, license plate 7HLT467, because the developmentally challenged, who are equally engaging in the demonic pattern of conduct, but they're not driving themselves down here to gang stalk me. They're not out here, let's go to the library and keep her under surveillance. Oh, I just want to be around her vagina when she's undressing in the bathroom, because that's what they are. They want to be around here. They want it. That the ongoing gang stalking is relevant to obsession with me, and also a delusion with regard to you're going to prison because of your inability to control your obsession. You lost so much control, everybody knows about it. And when that's proven state action, you're going to prison for that. That's no ordinary criminal act. They're including the developmentally challenged. They're making money while they're including the developmentally challenged, while they're transporting them here and engaging in criminal conduct and seeking to, on the surface, make it appear as one other thing. The fake sun, the engineer light, the ongoing stalking by helicopter and plane doesn't change. 5SDH514, and OPARC is not distinct from it. OPARC is directly engaging in it. Those demons who are in the medical field are in there pacing pursuant to the same pattern. All around me, monitoring spirits that are in the medical field. They commit murder, malicious murder. They engage in what are abusing people in ways in which you're ignorant about, monitoring the developmentally challenged, spiritually abusing them, sexually violating. The ability to gang stalk with one that is in that condition is the ability to abuse them and get away with it. It's the same thing with children. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. I will document OPARC, but the entity, by license plate. The entity's engaging in this pattern of conduct, and I want to be clear, you're having these high-speed chases, and they're doing it under the fake sun. Okay, it's laughable. This is an entity that plays cops and robbers. Okay, you're not ignorant about the person that's in the middle of the street while your sirens are on. They're literally engaging with the use of their sirens as they listen to me say something that's particularly triggering to them, and they want to make as loud of noise as they possibly can while they're monitoring, but they just don't want you to hear what it is that I'm saying. They're triggered by it, and they engage in the pattern of conduct. Those are demons that are engaging in what is hostility. They are, in other words, at the peak of monitoring when their sirens are on, and they're engaging in surveillance, and they know exactly who's on a skateboard in the middle of the street after getting off of work, and probably routinely riding that skateboard at that area at that time, and then engaging in what is a calculated act of what is killing somebody with your sirens on. That's LAPD that I'm describing. LAPD is a gang stalker. They're not investigating anything. They're committing murder, and it's a way that they keep the population under control, the population of demons that are gang stalking with them, because they know that it could happen to any one of them and that the government will get away with it. This is how they keep the demon possessed under control. And this is the entity that's gang stalking me together, playing cops and robbers. Okay? They rule by bullying. Okay? They rule by bullying the people of the state. The people of the state are not demons. I mean, excuse me, they're demons, but they're not victims. Okay? They're not innocent. Okay, so this is the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct, and this is the entity that maintains ongoing illusions regarding criminals versus those who are law-abiding citizens, illusions regarding those who are sane and those who are in a position to take care of those that are not properly functioning, suffering some mental incapacity. They're psychopaths that are all under the same environment, gang stalking the same person. That's where you're understanding and breaking down those illusions. And that's what OPARC represents, and they're going to be prosecuted for that. In the same way you're targeting with children, and they engage in more of it, that they're going to prison, though. These are demons that are inferior. Your inferiority is also relevant to your self-destructive habits, because it's all self-destructive. There is nothing that you're doing that's going to serve for what is doing anything toward my demise. It's already established. I'm getting my money, and you are going to prison, and I told you that years ago. You're going to prison while you're gang stalking with the developmentally challenged. You're going to prison while you're gang stalking with the librarians. You're going to federal prison while you're gang stalking with children. You're going to prison while you're gang stalking with the airport, with the fire department, with the homeless demons that are engaging what is obsessively stalking me day in and day out, having no lives, having nowhere to live, and so they come gang stalk me because they want to be close to me as possible while they're obsessively engaging what is to the demise of an American citizen. It's both obsession and hostility because they want to be me and they can't. So you gang stalk me. All right? And that's just the reality. And this is relevant to spiritual authority that no demon has. Now, in the physical, these are demons that lack spiritual authority that want to abuse authority in the physical. This is where you're getting to a police department under a fake sun. This is where you're getting to a police department that's engaging in the hallmark of stalking by helicopter as a shared pattern of conduct that go from city to city to city to city to city to city to county to city to state to state. Okay, that's understanding that pattern of conduct, and this is bringing their spiritual attacks into the physical with regard to the criminalization of targeting. Now, targeting is underway on the internet. You're being monitored. You're under surveillance by people who are spiritually monitoring you, including while you view their content. And this is relevant to those that are gang stalking me. And there is a clear connection, by the way. The demons that are gang stalking in the city of Ontario, oh, you've got little demon-possessed monitoring spirits who call themselves tarot card readers, who think that you're not siphoning any spiritual authority or power from me. You're not stealing any of my money. You're not going to swap any destiny. You're not getting anything that is owed to me. You're not keeping anything that you thought that you got away with stealing. You're not keeping any successes. As a monitoring spirit, you're going right back to the impoverished YouTube channel that you had, trying to do your hair like me. You will never look like me. You will never have my style. You will never have my aura. You have no authority to steal. You have no authority to keep what you thought that you were successful in stealing. And everyone will know what you're stealing. Everyone will know that you're a monitoring spirit, including while you're prosecuted, because the gang stalking is underway on the internet, particularly the very heavily documented venue of YouTube, who is also headquartered in California, where the fake sun is over them in San Bruno. Okay, and that's compared with what's over the OVITT Family Community Library, where I'm publishing my documentation, where I'm under surveillance, and these demons that are speaking to, which does not protect you. If you think that you could just state out loud, oh, this reading is for entertainment purposes only, and that you're safe from a prosecution, you're as delusional as these demons out here that are light slinging gargoyles. You're delusional. The fact that you're targeting, the fact that surveillance is underway, this is a new reality, and I have proven the existence of that reality. This is no Salem witch hunt. While you're engaging what is theft of any of my ideas, theft of my intellectual property, thinking that you could steal my identity, and stealing my identity is also accomplished impliedly while you think that you can steal my content and represent it as yours. Moreover, what you all need to know as the world, that these are demons. That's that same copycat spirit. A copycat spirit is a demon, not a prophet. All right, you're on the internet engaging in what is targeting while you're doing so, and you're doing so while the entity is gang stalking me by helicopter and gang stalking me with crackheads in wheelchairs, and then you're sitting there stalking and monitoring in the spirit, calling yourself giving a reading about somebody else's life, and you think that you're surrounded or protected by some sense of anonymity because you're on the internet and because you state that this reading is for entertainment purposes only. I'm gonna let you know right now that the entity in the federal government is aware about what is going on, and it is called criminal surveillance. It is in violation of the same federal stalking statute, and the criminal conduct that I'm subject to in relevant position is directly tethered to the criminal conduct that's on the internet concerning me, my identity, my life, and also that which has been stolen from me, and an entity keeping me under surveillance on the internet where I'm publishing that evidence as well, and the entity that thinks that they can spiritually attack you and avoid consequences for that because you're engaging in what is spiritual abuse, and that's just an illusion. That's not the case anymore. You're engaged in what is monitoring. You're engaged in federal stalking. And the entities engaged in that pattern of conduct, 7MAH425 is gang stalking with HD supply. They're engaged in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they are keeping me and the details of my life, the details regarding what an entity has committed against me, and their relationship, any sort of relationship related to Tracy Banks, these cult members of the Masons, the sexual activity with Tracy Banks, Jason Fields, these cult members, they share in that pattern of conduct of targeting me, incentivized to engage in that, and publishing content on the internet where they're gang stalking in relevant position, which is not getting you any spiritual access, and you're not getting any spiritual power. You're not keeping anything that you think that you've stolen. In fact, you're going to be left in a worse state than what you came in. That's what's going to happen. You don't have authority, and it's not going to happen. The entities engage in that, however, and they're doing so as fools who are willing to risk going to prison while you're practicing failed witchcraft. And I want to make sure that you're aware that you are under surveillance on the internet. I want to make sure that you're aware that it's not only surveillance with regard to your devices as you access anything online, but it's also relevant to the content that you seek out. You're being monitored. That's the city of Ontario that's stalking with light activity in concert with HD Supply. HD Supply is already a well-documented terrorist. while the demons are pacing in and out of the entrance doors of the OVITT Family Community Library and the Sarah's Regis Group, while they're monitoring my vagina upon my exit of this same venue, and they're stalking with the airport and the police department. Nobody forgot about that ongoing nightly ceremony, while you are then maintaining ongoing criminal surveillance inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. Nobody forgot about that. These are demons that are going to prison. And they've already been sentenced. The P.O.C, my podcast, is letting everybody know where you're going. You're going to prison. I want to let you know that. And your gang stalking, engaging what is stalking in the spirit, not only do I see you, I want to be clear, you're going to see yourself, you're going to find yourself in a federal case. It's a federal RICO case, to be specific. Okay, and that's speaking to going from a little pickaninny, wannabe, fake, stealing YouTube channel where you can't have an original idea, so you're sitting up monitoring somebody and calling it a tarot card reading. You're practicing witchcraft, and witchcraft against somebody that is null and void toward me. You can try to mimic me all you want. You can try to do your hair like me all you want. You will, first of all, will never be me. You can never, ever, honey. You can never be me, okay? Not only that, you're engaged in criminal activity with regard to a pattern of conduct which is relevant to what is conspiracy and furtherance of murder on behalf of the state. You're not privately acting on the internet. Surveillance by the government is underway online. YouTube is not a private party. YouTube is a state actor. It's a third party. All right, and you're engaging on a platform on the internet where surveillance is underway pursuant to a very specific criminal system that I remain subject to. In fact, I even published my evidence as I remain subject to it. And you are engaging in what is an unlawful threat, and you will find out the ways in which you have exposed yourself to, first of all, the world needs to know that you're a bunch of demons. And secondly, they need to know the ways in which you're stealing from people and targeting them while you are serving the purposes of Satan and calling yourselves tarot card readers. That's witchcraft. Okay, it is witchcraft, and they're engaging in this conduct. Why I want to be clear, the entity is engaging in what is targeting me with the government, literally in real time, attacking me in the physical, and you know that it's actually witchcraft. And they are doing, it's the same spirit when they're jumping onto their YouTube channels and, oh, this is what I'm getting from source. I'm getting, oh yeah, I'm getting from this, and I'm getting that. These are demons, and they're monitoring together. That's the reality. But I just want to get into that. YouTube is where I am. My case in chief is remaining in addition to my website, and the entity is engaging in what is. This is delusion. If you think, because this is the government, it's like stating that you can engage in what is stalking by the airport, fly anywhere that you want because it's never been prosecuted before. And that's a lie. You're going to find out how much of a lie it is. And just because it hasn't been legislated as of January 22nd, 2026, that doesn't mean you're not going to prison for it. You are going to be the example made because it is absolutely unlawful, including while you engage in it before the pattern of conduct is used to prosecute you in federal court. Okay, so if you think that you could steal content, while EQUMI, and you're stealing content and you are engaging in that pattern of conduct with the entity that is gang stalking me in relevant position, and that's, I just want to be clear, that's some federal case that you don't want any part of. And it's too late. License 1627384, the city of Ontario is already exposed. They're gang stalkers. So this is Paul Leon that's being prosecuted, okay? And it's a federal RICO case against the city of Ontario. So the entities engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they are doing so while they are sharing in surveillance, which is underway online. And this is what you need to know about. Surveillance is not just with regard to technology, it's with regard to those who you are viewing and what you're consuming. And with regard to my case, the entities engage in what is trying to get away with and help demons like Jason Fields and Tracy Banks and the Ontario Police Department, by the way, to spiritually attack. Spiritually attack is relevant to what is psychologically torture, harass, while they're gang stalking. How are you doing that in the spirit? Well, you are doing that in the spirit as you physically engage in gang stalking me. While they are gang stalking me, they are also targeting me and targeting my content online, including on YouTube. And they're doing so and stating out that there is no disclaimer to remove yourself from a federal case. It doesn't exist, in case you did not know that. Okay? There are a bunch of vagina monitors on the internet hiding behind tarot cards. You can't hide behind tarot cards. In fact, you're standing out while you utilize them. Okay? So I just want to let you know, Satan in all of his forms is being prosecuted. 9VCV002. It's a molestation while I'm outside at nightfall, and 9VCV002 is crossing paths, psychopathic pacing, and it's a molestation right now while the fake sun is over my head. Okay, this is P.O.C. and all the sex offenders are inside of the OVITT Family Community Library just awaiting my presence, and they are engaging that P.O.C. as one. So I just want to make sure that you understand the purpose of what 9VCV002 is engaging in, and it's a federal offense of furtherance of murder. It's a violent sex offender. Okay, and they are not distinct when you're understanding and removing the illusions that are here regarding what is the reality of surveillance and surveillance that's underway wherever you are at all times, in all places, and also online on the World Wide Web. Okay, license 1302451. That's the City of Ontario. You already know that. That's a prosecution of Paul Leon and a federal RICO case against the City of Ontario. It is currently 10:36 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, Park is engaging in domestic terrorism and is doing so via the developmentally challenged. And like I said, the entity gang stalking you and furtherance of murder, targeting you, monitoring you, stalking, harassing, terrorizing, sexually violating you through the developmentally challenged, through crackheads, those who are physically handicapped, those who are literally impoverished, don't have anywhere to live, and I am their priority. Okay, sex offenders that are engaging what is hiding behind their newborn kids, and their vagina monitors the same. All right, so bringing around the developmentally challenged, this is literally, quote unquote, empowering people who are life's flunkies, crackheads that want to come around and gang stalk somebody, and they're doing it to the wrong person. I'm the prosecutor. I'm not the one that's going to be the next murder victim. You're going to prison. License plate, first of all, 6TLS 427. Park. License plate, 8S. RL292 and Park, vehicle 170, license 9VHS 852. And there's a third vehicle that's in the parking garage, Park, in a black van, and they're gang stalking. And Park is serially engaging in the pattern of conduct. That is that company, a federal RICO case, which is engaged in what is systematic, repeated, ongoing, continuous. That's a basis of federal prison. It's also a basis of federal prison when you're facilitating children and the developmentally challenged to engage in the pattern of conduct and furtherance of murder. That's prison. Okay, I just want to be clear on that. But Park is routinely engaging in that, and they do so while they keep the evidence under surveillance. And to continuously engage in arriving at the OVITT Family Community Library is not evidence that you're not engaging in surveillance. These are demons that are highly unintelligent. The pattern of conduct proves that you're engaging in surveillance of the evidence, and then you continuously engage in it. This old biddy is gang stalking. Her license plate is 7NEB110. License Park. Nancy Edward 332. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. Park are a bunch of sex offenders. These are predators that are not only, remember, they're abusing the developmentally challenged while they're gang stalking me. Understand, while you're utilizing somebody's mental illness as a means of, like, say, for example, somebody that is mentally ill, like I documented the other day, and you're on the surface, this is somebody that's mentally ill. They can't help making those noises while they are, suffering some mental capacity. 8UBE942, demon. Third party, gang stalking. They can't help making those noises. Actually, it's demonic. And it's relevant to monitoring. And you're always looking at the pattern of conduct. Everything under the fake sun is serving that pattern of conduct. It's the fake sun. Why else would a supernatural occurrence be there? And now these demons who are delusional seem to think and have continuously engaged in what is entirely unintelligent. And that's because they're successfully killing each other, demons like them. Let me get the Park. Park is so flagrantly engaged in gang stalking, they're going to regret it. 9VHS 840. Psychopathic pacing, molestation, just like at nightfall. Vehicle 169. 9VHS 840. Park knows that I just read their license plates. No coincidences here. Park going into the back parking lot of the Ceres Regis. No coincidences here. Okay, it's the same demonic pattern of conduct. Those demons are unfit. Understand, they are to engage in this psychopathic conduct. They're also capable of sexually violating developmentally challenged people. And who's going to listen to them if they can't even speak? If they're mute? If they suffer from Down syndrome? If all they do is make noise, and they can't report that a psychopath that works for them, that's gang stalking by them, with them, is also violating their genitalia. Okay, engaged in what is beating and abusing them. And you are abusing them while you're gang stalking them. It is literally going to be prosecuted under Welfare and Institutions Code. And the ability to do that is the ability to show that you are capable of that sort of abuse, that despicable conduct, that ongoing glaring contrast regarding what it is that you want to be representing yourself and what you actually are. Okay, so like I documented before, while Park is listening to me, there's no coincidences there. I just took pictures. Psychopathic pacing. Coming in and out of the entrance while I'm captioning, there's no coincidences here. Those are demons. Those are psychotic people who are causing the people, their clients, they're making money off of their clients, and they're coming in engaging in criminal activity by their clients. And you're never supposed to know because they're developmentally challenged. They're going to the library. They're exposing them to the resources, letting them use the internet, helping them learn how to, socialize and get acclimated amongst the public. And actually what's going on is they're engaging in the elements of monitoring in that environment inside of the building where they've got multiple shadows, and they're ongoing. This is relevant to the ways in which I am not the one that is making a mockery of the mentally ill. OPARC is. So don't get confused what it is that I'm documenting. They're making a mockery of it. They're mocking them. While they're coming there into the engineer light under the fake sun with the government that monitors that. Doing so in the engineer light while they're all pacing around, and they do so physically. They want you to see mentally ill. They want you to see compassionate caretakers like OPARC employees who are psychopathic vagina monitors, stalking with impossible light, pacing all around me, including while I document their license plates. Very much a threat to those that cannot speak for themselves. And they're engaging what is, by the way, they're demons. So you're talking about spiritually attacking somebody, and then that person that's developmentally challenged, they don't know that, and they're crying out with regard to being attacked in the spirit, and they're doing that to monitor me. This is just giving you all the ways in which this is unfolding, all the ways in which the entities engage in that. They are cruel while they're engaging in psychopathic conduct. Psychological torture is relevant to gang stalking somebody through the developmentally challenged. And that while they engage in that criminal activity under the guise of being sympathetic caretakers and being interested in the well-being of the developmentally challenged, your gang stalking directly contends with that notion. And it's also speaking to the threat that they are to that very population, even spiritually attacking them while you are deceived and thinking that it's mental illness, which is merely physical, and it's not. It's not. And by the way, you're going to be prosecuted, period. I don't care if you are a mute crawling on the ground. If you're a 2-year-old crawling on the ground, guess what? The people of the state that brought them in there in engineer light, they think that you don't see them. That's the government that thinks that they're a ninja and that you don't see the stalker, and you do. And you're going to prison. And you're also going to prison because what has my documentation shown? The more that I document them, the more that I refer to those tactics, the vagina monitors bring in more babies. They bring in more of the developmentally challenged. They're psychotic. They're psychotic. That's Satan. That's the spirit of Satan that's in operation in whatever documentation I show, whoever it is, whether it's Spectrum, okay, whether it's UPS, whether it's Amazon Prime, whether it's City of Ontario. Okay, that's the entity that's engaging. It's that same spirit, that same mental illness, in other words, as it's operating through the people, as it's also engaging in what is public corruption, corrupt businesses that like OPARC. Okay, that's the pattern of conduct. It's 10:43 a.m. and this is P.O.C. Oh, you work with OPARC? Good morning, Marlene. That's Marlene E. She's a violent sex offender engaging in a retaliatory act of sexual violence, stalking in the path, just to let me know that she's monitoring my vagina in engineer light. Okay? This is called being in alignment. Vanessa's over there gang stalking with OPARC, stalking in the path, and being right here upon exit, walking in the engineer light. Doing so while they're maintaining amplified noise inside of the library, doing so in the environment where you are aware of the pet. There's my shadow coming from behind me, and here's my shadow on the other side. Marlene E. is a violent sex offender who is a threat to the developmentally challenged, which she is bringing to OPARC to keep my vagina under surveillance, and she's a hostile gang stalker conspiring in my murder. Just like the Asian American female, Satan doesn't have a race. You'll see the malice. While Satan uses those that you are not suspecting, poisoning, like I said, putting arsenic in your birthday cake and your cupcakes, and then bringing flowers to you at the hospital after they tried to kill you and it was unsuccessful. Gang stalking you, engaging in exceedingly violent sex offensive bathroom monitoring on behalf of the government in furtherance of murdering you, and mad because I'm documenting you as a business while you keep my evidence under surveillance as a monitoring spirit working for OPARC. That's the P.O.C. Marlene E. is engaged in the pattern of conduct, and her criminal engagement in that is relevant to the threat that they pose, having no.
It is 1:47 p.m. and the same demon-possessed gang-stalking entity that are, again, addicted to drugs, gang-stalking at the bus stop with the same gang members of the Ontario Police, they just fill the OVITT Family Community Library, hitting objects, stalking and pacing in engineer light, staring at an object while they're monitoring me and also my vagina. They're engaging in monitoring on the venue of the internet. The Spotify podcast is representing what is the criminal act of obstruction by this demon-possessed entity that's conspiring murder, engaging in criminal federal offenses, and then seeking to obstruct the ability to publish it. These are the demons that are going to prison. The entities engaging in that, the drug addicts that are gang stalking with the Ontario Police, they're committing a battery as an entity. This is the same entity. I just want to be clear. indistinguishable with regard to identity. When you're getting to prosecution, you're getting to Susie, you're getting to Larry, you're getting to David and Joanne. But Susie, Larry, David, and Joanne represent an entity which is faceless. Those that are acting on behalf of the entity are the ones that are going to serve those consequences while the government altogether is being prosecuted. You're talking about that sort of pattern of conduct where those four people, as I give you a hypothetical, are representing an entire apartment complex, representing all the employees at a venue, representing an entire police department sharing in a pattern of conduct. The entity that's doing so while they're gang stalking you amongst an entity that's doing so via traffic, sharing in what is massive federal offenses such as criminal summoning like what I documented today. The entity's engaging us, so I just want to be clear. It is the exact same character. It's the exact same entity that's sitting inside on surveillance cameras where Daisy, Sean Thrasher, Abigail, Vanessa, the entity that's engaging in what is kidnapping as an entity, entertaining surveillance with sex offenders under the name of OPARC, engaging what is gang stalking with the developmentally challenged who are equally engaging in psychopathic conduct. This is the entity that is engaging in that P.O.C. with the intent to commit murder, and the entity is on Ontario Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi network for the city of Ontario. They're engaging in federal stalking. Federal stalking is serving the purpose of that criminal conspiracy to commit murder. That's why the city of Ontario is going to be prosecuted for conspiring murder. That's why the city of Ontario mayor is being removed, being prosecuted. The city of Ontario's so-called police chief is being prosecuted. He's being removed. This is a terrorist. The entities that's engaging, like through Paz and Muriel and Yamas this morning, and the fourth gang member, because it takes all of them with regard to what is the people of the state that are engaging in gang stalking me, and they are just miraculously, that is simultaneously arriving at the moment that they think they have an opportunity to commit a kidnapping while they're stalking the entire time. They are the state engaging what is swearing at you, threatening you, hitting you, stealing from you, harassing you, engaging what is keeping you under surveillance in bathrooms, engaging in psychotic conduct such as pacing all around you, engaging in psychotic conduct such as battering you through sensational activity, engaging in psychotic conduct such as stalking with light activity while staring at a computer. When you're only in the building to engage in gang stalking, you're going to be both committed and you're going to prosecute for that. It's psychopathic. And this is what an entity does where ordinarily their witchcraft works. Their witchcraft is evidence of mental illness with which they're going to be both committed and convicted. The entity is on the internet and on my Spotify podcast. The inability for my episodes to generate, this is on the Ontario Wi-Fi. Using my own hotspot, I am able to maneuver around that. That's relevant to what is federal stalking on the internet, surveillance, which is serving obstruction purposes. This is why Jason Fields is going to prison. This is why Tracy Banks is going to prison. Just want to be clear, it's all going back to those gang leaders. They're going to prison. Okay, this is the P.O.C. The entity's engaging in that with regard to the ongoing harassment. Me documenting sex offenders of Sarah's Regis Group. Me documenting the entity gang stalking. Very damning. Recall what I'm publishing on January 18th about the fact that Mike LORENZ is an embarrassment to law enforcement. He is, and that he's going to prison, and that he's publicly been fired. He is, on both accounts. What's happening the next morning? The Ontario police are engaged in psychopathic pacing just like they are inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. And I captured it on video, so nobody has to sit around and wonder, did that really happen? The entity is doing so with the same drug addicts who are gang members targeting me at the bus stop, where the fake sun is, by the way, over my head as a matter of evidence, from 7 until after 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, still over me, while that airport that's gang stalking this morning is also engaging in that Southwest Airlines, to be specific, those specific gang members, after 6 p.m. at that same bus stop, where the sun is never rising and setting. It's directly relevant to the mental illness pursuant to the video evidence that you hear today. While gang members wearing police uniforms are being simultaneously diagnosed, they're being sentenced to federal prison for conspiring murder by masquerading as law enforcement officers, and they act through drug addicts. Okay, you're going to federal prison just for that. Alrighty, this is the entity that's engaging in that while they are then cowards who try to stop the evidence from being published. That's why my episodes will not generate. It's not a failure. You don't have any failure in engineered light. It's massive comprehensive surveillance, and a bunch of weirdos, a bunch of vagina monitors are sitting around hitting the furniture while they're engaging in monitoring me. These are not men, by the way. They're not men. And they're little boys that are in wheelchairs, on drugs, feeling inferior and insecure by virtue of the sound of my voice as I prosecute you with the truth that you cannot face, and you're still going to prison. How about that? Okay? And the demons that are engaging in the pattern of conduct, you have alopecia monitoring me on YouTube. That alopecia, those bald spots are going to increase. You're not going to gain any more hair. You're not going to gain any wealth by monitoring me on the internet. You're going to lose what you had. You're going to end up worse than where you began. By monitoring, you have no authority. You're going to mess yourself up and everybody else. In addition to that, I'm going to federally prosecute you. And alopecia and bald spots and the lack thereof of edges, that's just an example with regard to any and everything concerning your life. People, money, your well-being, everything that you thought that you were attacking invisibly in the spirit. No, you're not invisible. And the feds see you as well. It's 1:53 p.m. This is federal stalking with the intent to obstruct justice, and it's directly relevant to gang stalking at that bus stop. All those gang members, including the ones that are drug addicted and the ones wearing those police uniforms. It's P.O.C.